There are just 2 weeks to go in the British Sim Racers Touring Car Championship, and today we head to Italy for the penultimate race meeting of the season, to the Autodromo Nazionale di Monza, with no first chicane for 3 frantic races in the Kia Optima. There are still over 600 points on offer for all of the drivers inside the top 15, and all of them could still realistically win the title. I wonder how many of them will be remaining when we head to Daytona next week. Joining me, Adam Bath, in the commentary box for this one, it's BSRTC race winner Andrew Woodhouse. Really good evening, and it's Monza for no first chicane. It's a race meeting I think we've been talking about all year, but we're finally here, and it could be make or break for many of the drivers in the showdowns.
Could indeed. Not many races to go. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, this is the crunch time now. This is where it all comes to a head. This is where the drivers will not want to make any mistakes. But you know what? They might not have a lot of choice here, Adam, because Monza first chicane, it is dangerous. It is a bit of a lottery. We're going to see exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, we are. We're looking forward to it as well. The points are just coming up on your screen now. We'll try and make sense of it for you. Nicole Foggy leads the way. He's got a 27-point advantage over Ash Sutton, which in the grand scheme of things isn't a lot. Wojciech Savidovic has had a good weekend at Interlagos. He's now up to 3rd place, ahead of his teammate Alex Simpson, who has been demoted to 4th. 5th is Pete Harrod, 6th is Ross McFarlane, 7th Jamie Rushworth, then Stephen Baxter, former champion Dave Baker in 9th, and Sven Glatzel in 10th. And as we mentioned at the beginning of the programme, everybody down to 15th still in with a shout of the title. Over in the AM category, it is just as close between the top 2. Chris Wood and Maciej Sakovic separated by just 24 points. Michael Blake is a further 15 behind in 3rd. Then it's Adam Hadfield, Rusty Laidler in 5th, and McNally, Woodhouse, Johnston, Brown and Wright rounding out the top 10 in that championship. The qualifying session just coming to an end, but I can quickly run you through the team standings as well. It's Northern Lights GT and Mega who have got an 82 points advantage over CQR. There's one of the Northern Lights racing cars. That's one of them there. CQR in 2nd, 82 points behind. It looks like it's going to be between those two for the title. There may still be 3,000 points on offer for the team's championship, but you would reckon that bar a massive flurry of retirements for CQR and Northern Lights Racing GT and Mega, it's going to be a very tall order for Apex Racing to somehow rescue this team's championship. Qualifying session coming to an end then, and it's all about the tow and all about the teammates, Woody, and it's 1-2. So in fact, it's 2x2, isn't it, really, on the first 2 rows of the grid. Well, Northern Lights Racing GT and Mega with Ross McFarlane and Nicole Foggy, and then Jack Sedgwick and Wojciech Savidovic 4th and 3rd on row 2.
Yeah, that's right. I'm going to have to join you in a little bit, Adam. I've just got some technical issues here, my friend, but we'll be with you as soon as possible.
Okay, no worries. We will hold the fort here. Yeah, we can run you through the rest of the top 10 provisionally, as we've got a few seconds left before we advance to the grid. You can see the cones just right there on the scenic camera that are where the first chicane should be, the Rettifilio, but of course we're not using it today, so it's going to be interesting to see whether the cars lift or maybe just put a dab of brakes going into Curva Grande, which is now going to be the first corner, and then the first heavy braking zone will be the Della Roggia. So cold brakes could be a big issue here when we get the first race underway. Looking there at Kip Stevens, he's in 15th place in the championships, could still realistically win it, well, mathematically win it, but I don't think he's going to be able to do that today. He's currently starting in 33rd position, the last of the cars that have set a time in this qualifying session. A few drivers that haven't set times demoted and put to the back of the grid. Could be due to penalties from previous weeks. This series holds a protest meeting on a Monday, and it is there where they delegate who gets banned for qualifying, who has to start for the pit lane in some races and stuff like that. And we've got 6 cars that are all starting at the back of the grid for this opening race. We've got Jake Blackhall, Adam Hadfield, Nathan Davis, Max Wright, Michael Blake and Lee Deemer. Those are the cars that are going to be starting at the rear of the field for this one. And if you're new to the BSRTC, We do have a reverse grid for race 2 and race 3. It is generated by a wheel, which our cameraman Sam Kumo is very skilled at, and we'll be looking forward to that over the evening, and I'm sure it could be very important in helping many of the championship contenders get a good spot on the grid for race 2 and race 3, because it's not all about getting the results in the first race. You've got to make sure you stay out of trouble in races 2 and 3. Starting grid now on the screen. Ross McFarlane and Nicole Foggy. We're just mentioning that it's an all-Scottish front row. St Andrew's Day is a week and a day away. It's next Friday. So if they can continue in this vein of form, they'll be celebrating the day after Daytona with a potential title. Wojciech Swidovic and Jack Sedgwick, part of the Apex Racing fold that will be trying to stop them. They start in 3rd and 4th. Sven Glatzel 5th, Dan Brown, a fantastic job by the Northern Ice Racing Scuderia Haggis car. He is a Pro-Am driver, you can see that by the green stripe. He's starting in 6th. Alex Simpson 7th, half a second behind. He'll be hoping to get up through the field and challenge some of his teammates and those guys at the top. Stephen Baxter in 8th, 9th Ash Sutton, 10th Christian Rose. Jack McIntyre 11th, Pete Newman in 12th. 13th place Pete Howard, 14th for George Simmons. Dave Baker in 15th. Behind him, one of the AM drivers, Will Daniels, then former champion Jamie Rushworth, and Chris Wood in 18th. Michael Hall 19th and Mark Woodhouse rounding out the top 20. Then it's Adam McNally in 21st, Jim McFadden 22nd, Martin Front 23rd, the ever entertaining, or the ever controversial, you could say, Rusty Laidler in 24th. And then running you down some of the rest of the grid before we get going. 25th Maciej Sakovic, 26th Brian Holmes, 27th Tristan Bodis, Scott Malcolm in 28th, Colin Cunniff 29th, for Paul Smith, the Yorkshireman, in 30th. Then Craig Williams, Mark Johnston, Kip Stevens, the last car to set a time, and then the drivers that we mentioned are starting at the back of the grid for this one. Jake Blackall, Lee Deemer, the Welshman, Adam Hadfield in 36th, 37th Max Wright, Michael Blake in 38th, and Nathan Davis starting right at the back in 39th spot. Look at that, a sea of Kia Optimas getting set for the opening race of the day here at Monza. The revs begin to rise, the 5 lights are on. And away we go for the first race. Great start by Ross McFarlane and Nicole Foggy. Apex Racing haven't been able to do too much about them, but we'll soon find out as we go past the first chicane and towards the Curva Grande. Wojciech Swidovic has had a good second phase, and he's going to try and get past on the grass here. 3 wide into Curva Grande. Who's going to be in the right position here? Surely Ross McFarlane was in the middle there. He must have been holding his breath. He had his teammate on the inside and Wojciech on the outside, but they all get through safely. No cars in the huge gravel trap on the outside there, but now this is the main braking zone on the circuit. Down into the Della Roggia. You hear a bit of smoke, a few tyres squealing under braking. Contact there between Stephen Baxter and Dan Brown, but everybody able to put their foot to the floor and get away with it. A few cars in the background getting a bit leery. That was Maciej Sakovic, one of the Apex Racing cars. That is Brian Holmes. Contacts, off goes Holmes. Now that might have been broken suspension on the right front, because he just ended up turning across the front of him. But either way, it is his race is ruined, basically. Yeah, look at that, broken right rear, and I suspect that was broken before he got to the first of the Lesmos. Into the Variante Ascari for the first time then. It's Nicole Foggy leading the way. He started second on the grid, got the lead. He was on the inside going into Curva Grande, and he's got his teammate acting shotgun here. Ross McFarlane will have sights on the title himself. He sat in 6th position, in fact, 73 points behind Nicole Foggy. So it's by no means certain he's just going to sit behind him and happily take the silver medal at the end of the opening race. Looking here at Stephen Baxter, he was in a bit of argy-bargy, let's say, at the Della Roggia at the start of the race, but he's now got Sven Glatzel, his teammate, in front of him. And this is going to be really interesting to see how the teammates can work together to gain some of the positions. It's almost going to be like racing on super speedways in NASCAR here as we come across the line to complete the opening lap. You can see a swap for the lead already in order here. Ross McFarlane getting past Nicole Foggy, the pole sitter, back into the lead. And I wonder if the 2 Northern Ice Racing cars will be trying to organise this as well as they can, so that they don't allow Apex a sniff of an opportunity of gate crashing what is currently a 1-2 party for the team. They're fighting for the team's championship after all. They've got a an 82-point lead over CQR going into this one. and they'll be hoping that they're able to extend that. They currently will be doing so at the moment. There is the first of the CQR cars. Thank you, Stan. That is Ash Sutton in 6th position. British Touring Car champion from last season. Didn't have the same amount of fortune in 2018. Few penalties hindering him massively in that one. Hopefully he'll be back on the grid next year, but for now he's got his sights firmly set on an Apex Racing 3-4-5. Alex Simpson is just in front of Jack Sedgwick, who is Sutton is following. That is a good start from Alex as well, because he started in 7th position on the grid and has now got himself up into 4th place. So good start from Alex, and it was needed because the likes of Savidovic, the likes of Foggy and McFarlane were all going to gain some points on the former iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series driver if he wasn't able to make a good start. I wonder if this first race may just be a bit of a stalemate for the drivers to get those points on the board, and then they can all go at it in the second race. As you can see from the lap counter at the top, race 1 is always done on time, and then race 2 and 3 will be done on laps. Over the line then, second lap in the books. Sven Glatzel lighting up the timing screens with a purple there at the end of the second lap, 1:45.2. Now Nicole Foggy is going to try and look to the inside of Ross McFarlane. No way through there. In the background you can see Sutton and Sedgwick getting very close for comfort. Sutton's going to try and go around the outside here at Curva Grande. That's pretty brave. Sebastian Vettel tried it on Fernando Alonso. It managed to work there, but of course they had the Rettifilio before they got to Curva Grande. Sutton dives to the inside. Shades of Jimmy Thompson here, I think, in the World Touring Cars a long time ago. A lot of inside curb taken there by Sedgwick. I'd be surprised if he was able to escape without a slowdown penalty there, but it looks like he has. And they're still going at it again. Sven Glatzel now fancies the opportunity to gate crash the party. Sutton trying his best to get by. He's going to try and pin Jack Sedgwick to the inside, and he duly does. Ash Sutton is up into 5th position, and now Jack Sedgwick could be in a bit of a spot of bother here, because here comes Sven Glatzel. He will have the inside line for Varian for the Ascari chicane. Oh, now that took good. That was gutsy there by Jack Sedgwick, and I wonder if a bit of courtesy was in order there from Sven Glatzel. Could have easily have ended up with the car turning across the front and ending up in curtains. Maybe not going into Ascari, but potentially on the exit of it. And look how much time they've now lost to the likes of Simpson and Savidovic up the road. It's really now a second group. And this is going to give Sedgwick a great opportunity going onto the front straight. You can see from the track map there, the front 4 are away with it really. But after that, it's pretty much a huge train behind. Sedgwick's looking to the inside. Don't know if that's allowed. I don't know whether it's like NASCAR where that white line is the equivalent of double yellow line where you can't really get by. But either way, Sedgwick's going to get by. But Sutton saw how brave he was on the outside of the Curva Grande on the previous lap. Let's see if he's going to apply the same method here. He throws it at the Curva Grande, and that is Ash Sutton right down to a T there. Tell you what, I wouldn't do that. I'll probably end up in the gravel anyway. Jack Sedgwick trying to respond, going into the Della Roggia. So Ash Sutton up into 5th place. Sedgwick back down to 6th. Sven Glatzel in 7th, back to 8th. Pete Harrod in 9th. Dan Brown rounding out the top 10. Quite a few showdown contenders involved here. Sutton being one of them, so too Sedgwick. Here's Dan Brown in 10th. Pro-Am contender, of course. He's 9th in the Pro-Am category. 88 points behind Chris Wood, the Pro-Am points leader. So a top 10 result would definitely put the cat amongst the pigeons in that title. You can see from the timing tower on the left-hand side that Chris Wood, the Pro-Am leader, currently sits in 20th place. So a gain of 10 positions would definitely close things up a bit. Will hopefully bring you the points after each of the 3 races. We usually have a good bunch of people doing the points there that they have done all season. And it really helps us out, helping to convey what's going on in terms of the championship. Looking a bit further down the field now, this is outside the top 10, and this is a battle between Christian Rose, Pete Newman, Jamie Rushworth, a mixture of CQR and CQR Academy cars. Jack McIntyre driving for the Scuderia Haggis team for this one, and Dan Brown just a little bit further up the road. But here we are with Christian Rose over the timing line to start lap 5. I think Ross McFarlane might be going for the lead again, or Nicole Foggy might be trying anyway. The gap was very close between them over the line. Can't tell if Foggy had the lead briefly, and McFarlane got it back again. But either way, they ride curbs going through Curva Grande. And look, Wojciech Savidovic is gradually worked his way up to the back, up to the boot lid of Nicole Foggy. And I'm sure Alex Simpson is going to pick up a nice toe off the back of the reigning series champion as well. You can tell that it's Wojciech by the number 1 on the side of the car. He won the title in 2014 and in 2017 as well. So 3-time champion. Nobody has done that in the BSRTC. We have had a couple of 2-time title winners, Kip Stevens being one of them, and Wojciech being the other. Series started in 2013. Here comes Nicole Foggy then. He won't be wanting to do anything rash, A, to his teammate who's fighting for the driver's title, or because of the team's championship. Through Ascari they go. Foggy gives him a good amount of space. Don't know whether that's because he wants to try and get a decent run on the exit of Ascari, which he has, to be fair, or because he just wants to make sure that he doesn't run into the back of him. Either way, down the back straight, Foggy gets on the brakes, you can see, because if he went up the inside into Parabolica, it would slow these two down immensely and would allow Savidovic an opportunity to get the lead. Through the final corner then, the Parabolica, 180 degrees, a lot more runoff area there on the exit than there used to be. To lap 6, Foggy is looking to the outside. There he goes. And that's the Apex car in third of Savidovic that we're looking back at. Maybe this is what happened a lap ago, but this time McFarlane slots into second place. Brilliantly coordinated there. Meanwhile, Sutton and Sedgwick, part 3. Sutton holding on for now. Curva Grande really is helping out the CQR car a ton here. Sedgwick, whenever he looks like he's got the move done. Oh, look at that up the inside. That's a fantastic move by Dan Brown on Pete Harrod, the Club Series champion, another Kia championship that used to be shown here on the channel, fights back. Dan Brown in the Scuderia Haggis car came out of nowhere up the inside there. Round the outside goes the Pro-Am Racing driver. Pete Harrod is able to just about keep the CQR car ahead. Now onto the back straight, through the long left-hand curb here, underneath the famous banking. I believe is a configuration on this circuit. On this service, the iRacing service. Of course, Black Friday tomorrow. For our American viewers, happy Thanksgiving. Very anti-Ascari, and now to the back straight again. You can also see the CQR car with the orange rear spoiler. That is Dave Baker, sat in 12th. He's got McIntyre in front of him, Northern Lights Racing Scuderia Haggis car. They may be different to the Northern Lights Racing GT Omega team, but they're part of the same stable. I'm sure they'll be doing everything in their power to make sure that CQR can't gain any of these positions back. It's the CQR car leading this train. That's Pete Harrod in 9th. Another CQR car there with Dave Baker in 12th. And a bit of moving about on the front straight, trying to disturb the slipstream. Meanwhile, we nearly have a repeat of what we had at the start of the race. An Apex Racing car trying to make it 3 wide for the lead. Wow, look at that from the reverse angle. Going through Curva Grande. Nicole Foggy pedal to the metal there. Ross McFarlane remaining in second. Wojciech Savidovic trying to find a way through, but the speeds are so high and the ramifications so massive that he can't afford to either hit a car because he'll get a penalty, or crash out himself because he'll get no point. It's not like some of the other series we have where you can tow back to the pits, get a fresh car, be back out on the circuit and maybe just about lose a lap. In here, in this series, if you have a big wreck, you are done for the race. You won't be able to score any points until you get back in with a shout of race 2. And even then, you're going to be starting at the back, potentially ruining a race meeting if you get involved in a crash in this opening race. I wonder if that's on some of the drivers' minds. We're past the halfway point now. Jack Sedgwick looking to the inside into the Ascari chicane. Can't find a way through. Sutton's doing everything he needs to do at this moment in time. He's keeping Sedgwick behind just about until the front straight. And then when we get into Curva Grande, he then is able to use the speed and the grip on the outside to stay in front. Sedgwick's going to try and get it done into Parabolica though this time. Here it is from the helicopter. Through he goes. Sutton closes the door on the advancing Sven Glatzel behind him with the German flag adorned on the roof. Back onto the front straight again. Potentially a bit of bump drafting. Sedgwick getting a nice push there. It will help his top end speed. You can see in the foreground as well that Northern Lights GT Omega are at it again for the lead. Is Sutton going to look to the inside? He thinks about it. And it looks like Sedgwick will have the position for this time at least. Oh, ho. The car looks a bit more sideways there than when Sutton was trying to get the move, trying to pull off that move through the Curva Grande. And to the Della Roggia. A lot of curb taken there by Sedgwick. Sometimes can end up on the wrong end of a slowdown penalty. In the background, Pete Harrod runs wide. And that's going to allow Dan Brown up the inside into the first of the Lesmos. This could be another potentially crucial point for Northern Lights Racing to take off CQR. Harrod could be about to get past here. Up the inside goes Dan Brown. He forces the CQR cars to take a lot of the AstroTurf on the exit. But they're still going to be too wide down the back straight here. Who does Jack McIntyre follow? I think he's going to follow the racing line. And thus means he's got to follow Dan Brown here. Pro-Am driver versus the Pro driver. Harrod to hold it on the inside. Round the outside goes Dan Brown. How have they not touched? They pretty much rubbed going through the last part of the chicane. Now they've now been wheel to wheel for the best part of a lap. They touch. And McIntyre very nearly gets a face full of CQR. 3 wide into the Parabolica. Fantastic racing going on here. Still there, Pete. And now here comes David Baker into the mix. This could become a golden opportunity for CQR all of a sudden, just when it looked like that Dan Brown was going to take some points off the team. Now Dave Baker fancies his chances. McIntyre is now clear of Dan Brown, pushing the Pro-Am driver down to 11th. Now a 2x2 down the front straight. Pete Harrod doesn't have the top end speed, it looks like. That might be due to the poor exit from Parabolica. Dave Baker's now trying to get up the inside of his teammate. And Dan Brown bump drafting his Scuderia Haggis teammate McIntyre. Up the inside goes Harrod. No way through. How close they run to the grass and the gravel. If you get out there, you have pretty much had it. There's no way coming back from it. Hard on the brakes into the Della Roggia again. Great battle this for this final spot in the top 10. Potential implications for the championship, of course, here. Jack McIntyre, of course, also involved in this. It's Northern Lights Racing Scuderia Haggis, followed by Scuderia Haggis. Then 2 CQR cars. And a CQR Academy car in Christian Rose. That's the red car. Unless their liveries have changed, they might have done. Jamie Rushworth and then Michael Hall. Taking you down to 15th place. Top 20 rounded out by Simmons, Daniels, Laidler, who's gained a few positions. McFadden in 20th. Biggest mover is one of the drivers that didn't set a time in qualifying, and that's Jake Blackhall. The CQR Academy car sits in 24th place. He's got Maciek Sakovic, Paul Smith and Mark Woodhouse for company behind him. All 3 of them Team Mad cars. Interesting. And as Blackwell just let them all by, that could be a potential slowdown penalty there for the Aussie. Potentially using a bit too much curb, either going into the Ascario on the exit, and he now has to follow all those Team Mad cars, as we now have 4 minutes to go here. Back for the lead, and the Northern Lights Racing GT Omega party could be about to be gate crashed by Apex Racing. Wojciech Savidovic up the inside, he's committed to it. Oh my goodness me, and Ross McFarlane very nearly takes out his teammate. Somehow they avoid touching, and hello, that's Alex Simpson. Up the inside into 3rd position. Somehow, in the space of 2 corners, it's gone from Northern Lights Racing GT Omega 1-2, Apex 3-4, to Northern Lights Racing GT Omega, bookending the top 4, the 1st and 4th place, with Apex making up a double cheeseburger here. When we get to the line, we're not going to have too long left in this one. We may squeeze in another 2 laps, but if it comes to it, we could be about to start the final lap here. And Ross McFarlane has now got it all to do. Nicole Foggy, the race leader, championship leader as well, has only won 4 races all season, but has been on the podium 22 times. Couple that with a 51 top 10s and 77 top 20s. It's no surprise why he leads the way in the points going into the penultimate race meeting of the season. And look at that gap on the right-hand side. He's got a 1.4 second advantage. He's pretty much cleared the toe of Savidovic behind him. And we have 2 laps to go as we come over the line now. So it's all going to be out this scrap for second place. However, Ross McFarlane, who's pretty much on his own now, try and get back past the 2 teammates into second place. Wojciech Savidovic, he sits in 3rd in the championship. Alex Simpson, his teammate, sits in 4th. And I thought there was going to be a position change there, but there isn't. Ross McFarlane now going to potentially look to the inside here, going into the De La Roggia. He may go for it, but Alex Simpson moves across and defends. And up in the background, those two are not going to make the corner at all. Jack Sedgwick and Ash Sutton fly across the chicane. Slowdown penalty is almost certainly for both of them. Sutton has a bit of a worse exit, so he ends up dropping back behind Stephen Baxter. Somehow Jack Sedgwick, I think he still needs to serve it. There he goes. He gets out of the way, I think. Remarkably, I don't know how, but he's not pulling over his slowdown. There he is. I think he's trying to do it at the most opportune time so that Sutton can't get back by. The 2 GT Omega cars fly by. Goodyear Haggis cars fly by. No, it is GT Omega, as Glatzel and Baxter. And Sutton is now behind Sedgwick. Sutton to the purple in that first sector, probably because he went so deep into the De La Roggia. Just 1 lap to go then, and it means that for this race meeting tonight there's going to be 12 laps in race 2 and race 3. That's how the lap distance is determined by this opening race. And while Wojciech Savidovic looks kind of settled in that second place, I think it's anything but for Alex Simpson behind. Ross McFarlane, let's not forget, was the pole sitter for this opening race, so he's definitely got some top speed underneath him. Over the line we go, white flag in the air, just 25 seconds to go, and the flag will be at the ready. And Alex Simpson could really do with the help of Wojciech Savidovic here, but the Apex Racing car is just a little bit too far up the road. Although they're coming back to him. Who's got the bigger top speed? Here the tyres squealing going through Curva Grande, and Alex Simpson's able to use that outside line to his advantage, just like we saw with Ash Sutton earlier on in the race. Up the inside goes the Northern Ice Racing car. Alex Simpson just about cuts across. Very nearly contact between the 2 of them. The Northern Ice Racing GT Omega car right on the boot lid of the Apex Racing car and hits him. First major bit of contact that we've seen between them. It hasn't done too much damage to the back of Alex Simpson's car, but a potential warning shot being thrown there by Ross McFarlane. Now he's going to have to get crafty here. Got half a lap to go, and the possibility of a podium could potentially be slipping away here for Ross McFarlane here, unless he goes for the inside into Ascari. He hits! Simpson goes off. He won't hit anything. He'll come back across the circuit. He will get a slowdown penalty for certain, but whether he collides with the Northern Ice Racing car is another matter. He doesn't. Glatzel gets through. Sutton gets through as well. Does he? I think he does. And now Jack Sedgwick might fancy his chances. Ash Sutton, he got such a great run on the exit of Ascari. He could find himself in 5th place. Going into, oh, watch out, Sedgwick's on a man on a mission. Got something going on here. So now Alex Simpson's going to come back up the inside of all of them. It's going to be a drag race for these guys. Meanwhile, Nicole Foggy is going to pick up his 5th win of the season. What a timely time to do it here in race 1 of Monza. Wojciech Savidovic 2nd, McFarlane 3rd, Sutton 4th. Who was 5th in the end? It was Jack Sedgwick by just a 10th of a second. Alex Simpson pipped Stephen Baxter to the line by about 100th. Look at this. 3 wide over the line. There was someone right up against the wall. That was George Simmons in the Apex Racing car, drafted in to help the team. And what a result. What a result that was for Nicole Foggy. Will Daniel, 17th. There is Nicole Foggy, our race winner, our opening race winner of the day. What a crucial result that could be in terms of the title. Apex Racing in the end, 2nd, 5th and 6th, but for Alex Simpson, it's the wrong way around for him. He would have rather have had it that he finished higher up the order, but it all kicked off. First we saw the precursor to it with Ross McFarlane getting into the back of him, going through the S's. And then we saw what happened going into this very part of the circuit here, going into the Ascari chicane, where Alex, they hit it, they collided, McFarlane and Simpson, crossed the inside when Alex, he managed to get the car pointing in the right direction, didn't hit anything either, but by the time he came onto the circuit, it meant that Sutton was through, Sedgwick was through as well, and McFarlane was off up the road as well. It'll be interesting to see what kind of opinion the stewards have on that. But for now, there's a Northern Lights Racing GT Omega return to the pit. They have got a very decent result. Race results on the screen. Nicole Foggy wins ahead of Wojciech Savidovic in second. The Apex Racing car was able to break the stranglehold of GT Omega in that opening race. Ross McFarlane finishing in third in the end. Ash Sutton up to 4, 5 positions gained. Jack Sedgwick in 5th for Apex Racing with Alex Simpson finishing in 6th. 7th for Stephen Baxter, 8th for Sven Glatzel. You can see there the top 8 separated by just 5 seconds. 9th Pete Harrod and Dan Brown getting a 10th place finish. 11th for Jack McIntyre, 12th for Michael Hall, 13th for Christian Rose, 14th for Jamie Rushworth. Pete Newman finishing in 15th, just ahead of Dave Baker. See how close it was between those two. And then Will Daniels in 17th with George Simmons 18th. And then moving on further back, Rusty Laidler gaining 5 positions to finish in 19th. And Chris Wood, the Pro-Am Championship leader, in 20th. 21st for Stuart McFadden. Adam McNally finishing in 22nd place. Colin Cuniff 23rd. And then Maciek Sakovic in 24th. Jake Blackhall, we saw him getting passed by those 3 Team Mad cars. He was able to get past 2, but couldn't get past the elusive 3rd. He finished in 25th with Messrs Woodhouse and Smith behind him in 26th and 7th. Then Mark Johnston, 28th. His teammate Adam Hadfield in 29th. Nathan Davis, the Welshman, in 30th. Then Scott Malcolm, 31st. Martin Front in 32nd. Michael Blake, 33rd. Kip Stevens, he started in 33rd place, but couldn't find his way forward. He's up finishing in 34th. Tristan Bodis in 35th. Then Max Wright, 36th place. And then the cars that had issues during the race. Lee Deemer, 1 lap down. Craig Williams, 4 laps down. Brian Holmes, broken right rear going into the Della Roggia. Car speared across and collided with, I think it might have been Craig Williams. Resulted in both of them having to retire. Bringing Sam Kumo then at the end of the first race of the day, and we'll get onto the reverse grid wheel in a moment. Sam, all going well there, and a very exciting first race, but now it's time to get the reverse grid wheel up and time to spice things up for the second race.
Yeah, I think we will see plenty more drafting here for the second race. But the wheel is on your screen, and let's spin it. And it's gonna be another big one. It is full -2.
2. Well, that will put Tristan Bodis for Team Mad onto the reverse grid pole. Kip Stevens going to be starting in 2nd place here. That'll be interesting to see. Michael Blake in 3rd, Martin Front 4th, Scott Malcolm starting in 5th place. Got all the hallmarks of an exciting second race here. Join us after the break then on Apex Racing TV. While we're on a break, you can head over to the other stream that's currently unfolding on the Apex Racing TV channel. The Dynamix Sim Racers World Series finale is going on there, but make sure to join us back here in a moment, because we'll be getting set for the first reverse grid of the day in the British Sim Racers Touring Car Championship at Monza.
My name is Stephen Corpenos. I'm a senior web developer here at iRacing, and I work on the beta UI. It's funny because iRacing has been around for 10 years, but we want to keep delivering the best possible user experience to our customers, and we've found that the old UI isn't exactly what we're trying to deliver in 2018. We want to use new features and provide the best possible experience when using the sim. One of the projects that I've been working on is some custom heat racing configuration for hosted races. We've been listening to our customers. Everyone's been asking for custom heat races. Maybe you want to tweak a few things with the preset iRacing configurations. Well, now you can using the beta UI. So once you're at the homepage of the beta UI, you just go to create a race. Then from there you go to your set race options. And you'll notice here under event types you can actually choose heat racing. First, I'm going to show you how to create a new format from scratch. You can choose the number of entrants. And as you can see, when I made that change, the change was actually reflected on the right side in the graph. Also, you can use the estimated duration at the bottom of the graph when you're changing the length to see what the total duration of your event will be. In addition, you can customize every aspect of the session information, practice, qualifying, heat races, consolations, and of course, the final feature race. Because the beta UI allows us to develop features that are robust and complex, this feature will be exclusively available on the beta UI. Once you've made all of the changes, you can hit save. Say you forgot what you selected. You can always preview it using the preview format button. We are very excited to release the brand new heat racing configuration feature that will be available in Season 3 of iRacing.
As we are getting ready for the green flag, sunset band is coming, and so is the green flag.
Jamie is once again leaving a big gap, and he is still staying pretty much within the rules by just going a little bit wide. Gets a nice run out of that final corner. Lee Dima is relatively close, but I don't think he's going to be able to challenge him down into turn 1. No, he's a long way behind. With Cullen staying in P3 with Stephen Burke already gets him past Ronald Mees, and in fact Ronald Mees has lost another position to Chris Dane, so not a great start for him. That Ferrari power though, how strong is it down the straights? He is closing in a little bit, and maybe he can go for a lunge into this next hairpin, but I think he might think better of it. Maybe he won't do, because Chris Danes is down the inside and he's got that move done seemingly, although Burke is going to try to stay in there. Chris Danes though, Marco, brilliant start to this race from 6th to 4th already. Basically he's in a very good position, Jamie, yes. Whichever way you look at it, but he will still want to get in those points. Nice and early today, and Chris Danes, after an awesome start, is round here as Sebring, and he's right to the rear of the field. Once again now, going into turn 1, there's not a whole lot the defending driver can do, because look at this, it's such a wide entry into turn 1, and Rick Cullinan will go down the inside once again, but Dima was prepared for it, and he's happy to just go round the outside. Cullinan though isn't happy to give in yet, and he might still have a chance going into turn 2. Demon can stick it round the outside there, and he'll have the inside for the king, but the outside once again for the next serious corner, and Demon has surely lost out this position. But Cullinan is a little bit tentative on the inside there, didn't carry the speed through, and he's given his Mercedes rival an invitation back, and he's also giving an invitation to Burke and Means to get involved in this one as well. Down the inside is Lee Dima once again, but Cullinan very deep on the brakes, but the exit has not worked out for him, and from attacking he is now defending. Stephen Burke is going to get his nose in there. He's going to be alongside with Cullinan into this next corner where Cullinan was so deep on the brakes last time, but Cullinan does not lose a position for now.
And in the end the status quo remains the same, even though I think Dimmer went a little bit wide. Yes, he did, and he's in the fence. He tows back to the pits, massive front-end damage, abusing the track limits, I was saying before, not recommended, and once again, same corner as the previous lap. This time he wasn't so lucky and he went straight into the Armco barrier.
I don't really know what's going on there, but here we go. Marco was promoting the move around the outside for Ronald Moons, and can he pull it off here? He's just too wide though, he needs to stay a little bit tighter than that. He's got a nice little run though, and he might be able to go for a lunge into turn 2. But once again, Stephen Burke's there, and Max Ray sees his opportunity, and he maybe sees a position here, but there's contact between the two of them, and they're both lost out from that one. Well, moves carries on, and we wait to see what damage Max Ray has got, and it's terminal damage. And if he can possibly finish this race, that would keep him in line for the reverse grid, but he's going to have to stay back to the pits. And Royal Means is watching this, hoping for a mistake from one of them. The Mercedes is bound to be a little bit faster, and in fact, Raikkonen is letting his rival pass. I don't know if there's an issue for Raikkonen here, Marco, but he's going very slowly all of a sudden.
Let's see, because he's changing gears
Nah,
quite
he's
early.
got fuel issue. That's why he's been so slow through the event, because he's got no fuel left. So here comes Jamie Ayres. 48 points the difference in the championship going into this race. At the end of it, it's going to be 23. Jamie Ayres one step closer to taking that championship title. Max Ray, come on, give him a bit of a push, and there you go. This is what this series is about, and Max Ray is going to give Raikkonen a bit of a helping hand here across the line. Welcome back. I don't see a safety car, Marco. Oh dear, this is going quite fast. Okay, I think we're going. Here we go. So, green lights are on, and Odd Moons is away from the pole. Stephen Burke is in second position with Jamie Ayres in third already. Scott Malcolm getting past Colin Robinson. But nice start for Moons. He's got to be strong straight from the start. And here is Malcolm getting an awesome start. They're all off the circuit though.
Oh, what's going on?
And there's a three-way crash.
All the drivers were on the grass. I've never seen anything like it's like they put some oil in the first corner. Let's see the replay. So Dimmer was lagging behind, but look, everyone went wide.
Well, I feel sorry for Raikkonen that he was the instant passer too fair. Got away without too much incident. Back with the lead. Jamie Ayres feels like he can get this move on the outside. This is the situation that Burke found himself in so many times in race one, defending against one on Means. At the moment, he's being resolute in defence, but he can't cover off that inside line. And Jamie Ayres will surely take the lead now, unless Burke can somehow find his way round the outside. He's going to try to stay level, but it's a losing course. And Jamie Ayres takes the race lead. Burke is absolutely desperate to get this race lead straight back because he knows on pace he has got no match to Jamie Ayres, and for now he is staying close. He's got to make this one stick, and now round this Jamie Ayres, and he could lose one position, he could lose two positions. He's only lost the one position in the end.
As they enter Sunset Bend, tires are squealing, cars are jumping all over the place, and also Cullinan is coming. Robinson just a bit behind these guys.
Ayres takes back the lead. He was leading across the line. For some reason, Stephen Burke just did not accelerate from that Sunset Bend, and Jamie Ayres takes back the race lead here after a mistake from earlier on.
Either he makes a move on Burke, or he gets attacked by Cullinan. Oh, slow down by Moons, by Cullinan, sorry, by Burke, and Moons goes past him. Oh!
Moons to throw away a second position, his second podium of the day, and here it was. Just got on the curb, seemingly on the outside, and Marco, if you do that lots of times, then that's kind of bound to happen eventually.
Yeah, a classic Sebring mistake.
And he'll round Sunset Bend to surely clinch the championship. He'll take the lead of the championship for the first time this season, going into the final race. And Jamie Ayres wins here at Sebring. And of course, we should just point out, well done to Colin Robinson. He is the champion in the Murray Walker Cup. I think we might already be getting away. No safety car once again. Standing start once again. Jamie Ayres, will it be once again for him taking away the flag? Away we go here at Sebring. Stephen Burke staying relatively close going into turn 1, but I don't think he's going to be able to mount an attack with Cullinan under a bit of pressure. Burke goes for it though, and he very nearly made it. That was really brave there from Stephen Burke. Cullinan holds on to P3 with Ronald Moons already gets him past Colin Robertson.
Right is around, I think. There's some tire squealing. Oh yeah, he's in the fence.
Wasn't going well for Max 8 before this after his bit of a slowdown. And just getting on the bumps there, I think, Marco, and that was enough.
Back to the front. Burke is in first. What happened?
Straight away had to turn out a bit just to, yeah, make sure that he didn't spin. Let's see. Yeah, that was what happened. And Michael Docker did it at Phillip Island. So 3 drivers have done it so far this season. It'll be interesting to see if we get a 4th and Lee Diemer into the wall. He's shown pace today, Marco, but just had a few too many incidents. But out to that final corner, Burke really does struggle in comparison to us, and he's not going to go defensive. Clearly feels as though the outside line is better, but Jamie Ayres is happy to take this inside line, and he might be happy to take the lead as well, as Stephen Burke runs around the outside of Jamie Ayres, and he might just be able to pull ahead. But will he have the outside line for turn 2? Yes, he will do, and he's going to have to be so quick on the outside here. This could be a brilliant defensive move if he can pull it off Stephen Burke. Ayres is still in there, but Burke hangs on, and what defensive driving that was there, Marco, from Stephen Burke to hold on to the race lead. Here comes Ronald Moons once again though. He's edging closer and closer. That Mercedes power will help him along, and he looks to the inside, into the hairpin. Cullinan squeezes him, and he might just be able to hang on to this position. Jamie Ayres has got the move on Stephen Burke, and that's a slowdown for Steve Burke. Ah, dear.
Whilst the BMW has been replaced by the
M6,
and look at this, side by side for first place, virtually Burke and Ayres.
What has happened to Jamie Ayres? We'll have a look at that just in a second. Just looking at the pit stop times, Jamie Ayres, damn it, it doesn't go up for me. So
4.5 seconds longer stop for Ayres.
Ayres once again right back onto the tail of Stephen Burke, and this is where Burke struggles, just on the exit of that sunset bend, and he struggled again, and this time Jamie Ayres is going to have a brilliant opportunity. Burke doesn't like to defend too much, but he is going to defend this time, going into turn 1 here at Sebring. And Burke might just be able to hang on, but Ayres is going to try to come back, and Ayres could be off the circuit. He is off the circuit. Stephen Burke across the line to start the final lap of the season. Jamie Ayres to the outside into turn 1. Can Burke hold him off? It looks like he just about will for now, but Ayres can maybe get the cutback. Burke has got to go to the inside. He can cover off the inside, unlike so many other occasions. Ayres fancies his chances round the outside, but it's not going to happen for him unless he can just go for a dive into this one. He's running out of chances, Marque, and that was where his best chance gone. And we may only have Sunset Bend to decide who wins this final race of the season.
Just quickly, Diemer. Oh, he's off. One mistake too many for Jamie Ayres, and he will have to be happy with P2.
But Stephen Burke leading this race. He's only going to be happy with P1. He's been given a few opportunities by Jamie Ayres today, but finally he has taken one. And Steve Burke rounds the final corner, and he wins the final race of the season in the BSR Grand Tour.
These things happen. I just want to say to Colin that well deserved, and I played bridesmaid yet again after finishing second last season. There's a few things I tried out tonight, just didn't quite work out.
But for now, from me, from Marco, and from Sam, we'll see you next time. wait and see. Ashley Jigsaw unfortunately couldn't take the start, but we are nearly away here. Tristan Boris from the pole position. Race 3 of the evening. And once again, the pole sitter gets a very nice start. Lee Woodburn still in second place, but he's going to be under pressure here from Chris Danes, who straight away is down the inside, and he might just be able to make that move. Almost contact, and Danes is almost round. He's hung onto it though. Big contact with the curves again though. It's all chaos behind the race leader. A couple of cars off the circuit. There's somehow not a big pile-up. There so nearly was. A car very slow on the inside. That's Tristan Bodice, is it? Oh dear. The race, the pole sitter, the race leader, and he's right to the rear of the field. Sam Kumo already across the track, and that's going to be a big slowdown for him, unfortunately. But Chris Danes, despite making big contact in that first chicane, takes the race lead. And despite him falling to the rear of the field, you would not count him out of even a podium out there. But he's going to have a long way to go. And Chris Danes, from the race lead, has binned it. Coming out of the chicane, I cannot believe it. Chris Danes. And all the front runners having their issues. It means that Rafe Cullinan, at the conclusion of this opening lap of the race, is the race leader.
No, as I say, that's fine. I was just saying, I don't know if he had a screen freeze or something like that. As this car spun, it's turn 1.
Oh, big contact as well. Tristan Bodice, the race. And yeah, he's that as well. Is that Jim Flanagan? Jim Flanagan's round.
Tristan Bodice involved and Flanagan involved. So yeah, contact between the two teammates.
This is the only battle that really matters right now. It's so
Which has got a run in Cullinan.
Cullinan, once again, a little bit slide down the pit straight. Wood to the outside. Can he have the confidence on the brakes this time? He's going to try to do it, Chris Wood. No, he's not. Cullinan's almost wide though. And then the spinner in the background. And they're all round.
Oh, they're all
round. Jamie, sorry, Madsen's round. Oh, and big contact, with Madsen. And that might be his day over. I think Bodice has done the exact same thing as earlier on. As Kern goes through. And he's up into the top 3 now. So don't count out Chris Wood either. Maybe even Michael Hall could get involved in this race lead battle as well. Cullinan with the lock-up. And he's going to be under big pressure here. Those tyres will really be screaming at this point if he keeps on overheating them. And he could be under pressure here. Effort. He looks to the inside into the Villeneuve. But not quite there. Having to go defensive. And there's a little bit of a wiggle in the end from Hefford. He nearly loses the car. Cullinan, defensive into the hairpin now. And you can see how Kern is closing in on these guys. It's still side by side. Muscling his way around the outside is Steve Hefford. And he's got a fantastic drive from that corner. And this could be the moment after 17 laps that Rafe Cullinan relinquishes this race lead. He's not going to give it up though. He's late on the brakes. They make contact. But maybe with the ideal line is Steve Hefford as they come down the track now. And on the inside is Steve Hefford. And he's made the race. He's made the move. And he's off the circuit though. Is that going to be a slowdown? Well, he's going to lose the lead certainly.
We're back here at Apex Racing TV, getting set for the second race of the day here in the British Sim Racers Touring Car Champ. After this race meeting, just one to go before we decide the champion. Alan Baff here with Sam Kumo on the cameras. We've got the grid up for you. Tristan Bodice starts on the pole. Kip Stevens in second, Michael Blake third, fourth Martin Front, fifth Scott Malcolm, sixth Nathan Davis, and you can see pattern there. 3 pros on the left. 3 AMs on the right. After that, a whole load more AMs. Adam Hadfield 7th, 8th Mark Johnston, 9th Paul Smith, Mark Woodhouse rounding up the top 10. And I think, without further ado, we are all set to go then. It will be another 20-minute race. There was a issue, I think, with the session. But here we go then. Getting set for the second race. Bit of smoke at the back. I don't know whether someone may have jumped the start, but we're away now. And the cars make the most of the wide track, but it's going to filter down in a moment. Good start from Tristan Bodice in the Team Mad car. Look at the Automech car coming on the outside. That could make things a bit interesting. That's Scott Malcolm. And now it's going to be 2 by 2, apart from our leader going into the Curva Grande. Watch out for the Apex car there. That's Nathan Davis. He's dropped back 2 places since the start. Now going to the first major braking point on the circuit, to the Della Roggia. Cars trying to find their own bit of space. Oh, contact! Scott Malcolm turns around, Martin front takes the lead. It'll be a mother of all slowdowns. Contact with the leader. Tristan Bottas gets hit. One of the Apex cars too. That's number 37, Nathan Davis. What a howler of a start it is for him. And there's a car upside down. That's a CQR Academy car. That is Christian Rose. And everybody else trying to find their own bit of space. Sven Glatzel with a severely damaged rear end of his Northern Ice Racing GT Omega car. There's an Apex car in there too. There's a car very far off. That is that's one of the Vortex cars. Right, somebody else, not too sure. But either way, we're going down the back straight. That is car 10. That's Craig Williams. Yeah, one of the Vortex cars it was, who had a howler of the first race. New car showing up as off the circuit. But anyway, through the Variante Ascari, Martin front is still serving that slowdown penalty. What a disaster it's been for him. I think it is him anyway. No, it's Colin Cunniff. I apologise. He was in 10th. So he must have picked down a slowdown penalty earlier. Another Apex car dropping down the order. That is Jack Sedgwick, I believe. No, it's Nathan Davis, the Welshman. Oh, and he's colliding with Sedgwick, an Apex Racing teammate. That's not going to help things. Davis is a privateer, of course. Around in the final corner, that is number 6. That is Will Daniels. The numbers, I think, have been mixed up. I think Nicole Foggy was number 6 in race 1. Either way, across the line to complete the opening lap. Michael Blake leads for Simortal. Look at this, we've got 3 Simortal cars inside the top 5. We've got Mark Johnston now going for 2nd place, going into the Curva Grande. And then it's Adam Hadfield in 3rd, 4th Kip Stevens, and then Martin front, despite getting turned around in the Della Roggia, inside the top 5, and despite having such a big slowdown penalty too. The top 10 is rounded out by Scott Malcolm in 6th, who was the instigator in all that. Paul Smith 7th, then Tristan Bottas 8th, and then Mark Woodhouse and Maciek Sakovic. Here comes Paul Smith then. He's coming up the inside of the Automech Not Kill car. Malcolm going to try and hold it out around the outside. There's not too much grip out there, and Paul Smith uses the inside line to his advantage and takes the place. Here comes the pole sitter Tristan Bottas to have a little bit of a look. Better of it there, but he's going to look back at the inside again, which will become the outside for the Ascari chicane. Great battle this between a whole lot of AM drivers. Only 2 pro drivers inside the top 10. Malcolm up the inside. Bottas ends up getting compromised, and this could allow Woodhouse the opportunity he needs. His teammate Maciek Sakovic is never too far away, and that must be oh, who is that in the background trying to get through? That's one of the that's car 54. That's Adam McNally in the Scuderia Haggis team. 3 wide going into Parabolica. CQR Academy car out of nowhere. That's Jake Blackhall. Bit of checking up as Mark Woodhouse has to get on the brakes with the British flag on top of the roof. It's his teammate with the Polish flag that's now coming up with a fair rate of knots on the outside. That's Maciek Sakovic over the timing line onto lap 3. 2 teammates going at it. Meanwhile, just in front, you can see the Apex, the CQR Academy car of Blackhall. Get it done on Tristan Bottas. Bottas will have the inside line here, but we saw Sutton working the outside line to perfection. Is Blackhall going to try and do the same here? Of course, one thing he always has to bear in mind is his Australian connection, as opposed to many of these drivers which are all racing in Europe. And on the brakes, Sakovic at the inside of Blackhall. The Aussie gives him space. He gives him almost a bit too much space. Over the curbs goes Bottas. Up the middle goes Mark Woodhouse. There's a car off in the wall. That's Chris Wood. You can't see him, but he's in there. And now round the outside goes CQR Academy car with the yellow on it. That is Rusty Laidler. He's getting followed by his teammate with the pink. That's Stuart McFadden. Or the magenta. Now down the back straight again. All action here. You can tell you that the championship leaders are all outside the top 20. Nicole Foggy in particular is in session. He's in the pits. Well, we don't know what happened to Nicole Foggy, but that is something that we'll have to find out, because this is potentially championship wrecking stuff here. May have to have a look at that at the end of the race, because all this is still going on. We didn't really mention before we came back on air that going into this one, Nicole Foggy had a 49-point lead. Don't think it's going to be that anymore. I don't even know who's going to be leading the championship. Everybody's scattered throughout the field. Onto the front straight again. It is a Simmortal 1, 2, 3. As up the middle goes car number 3. That is George Simmons. 3 wide, 3 different teams. CQR Academy on the outside, Apex Racing in the middle, and on the inside it's the Team Madcar. Woodhouse gets out of it. It's going to be 2 by 2 into the Curva Grande, but they bail as well. Simmons thinking about matters. One person that is on the move is Ash Sutton, biggest mover in the field so far, along with Jack Sedgwick. Those two are inseparable here today, and Sutton and Sedgwick have both gained 15 positions since the start of the race. It could be about to be 14 as Pete Harrod looks up the inside. Bodice is just getting shuffled further and further back. Cars taking evasive action. I hear gravel and I hear crashing. It may have been Michael Hall, too sure, but there is a lot of wrecked cars on, and I don't know if Michael Hall may be in a spot of bother. Here is Wojciech Savidovic. Looking at the championship, he could become the leader going into race 3 if things stay the way they are. Remarkable set of circumstances here in the BSRTC. We don't actually know what happened to Nicole Foggy. We do have the replay, but we'll look at it back at the end of this race once all the drama has unfolded and once we know what it could mean in terms of the championship. Through the Ascari chicane they go and onto the back straight. That's being very wide indeed, and Bodice is about to get picked off by another one of the pro drivers. It's going to be Sven Glatzel here. Got a bit of damage to the rear of the car. Don't know if that's slowing him down at all, but going to try and get through anyway, going into the parabolic of the final corner. No way through there it looks like, but he should have the straight line speed on the exit. Bodice started on the pole and things not working out too well for him. 3 wide further up the road, and it's involving one of the it would have involved those two, wouldn't it? Sutton and Sedgwick trying to get past Mark Woodhouse and Dave Baker. One of them is Ash Sutton's teammate, so be careful guys, this might not go well. Baker on the inside, Sutton in the middle. Baker gets well out of that, and sensibly so. Could have ended up in a 0 for him, potentially his teammate as well. Sutton is the one that takes advantage. He's up to 14th place, has got past his CQR teammate as one of the Automech not kill cars comes under pressure there, going into the the Della Roggia, and Malcolm forces out George Simmons. Through goes McFadden, through goes Sutton. Malcolm's going to try and hold out around the outside. He's tried that before, but it hasn't worked out. Sedgwick now at the inside of Sutton. Sutton, oh, bit of sabre rattling going on there by Sutton as Sedgwick had to get out of it, and now Malcolm gets forced out wide and he's losing positions hand over fist here. We've seen a few big wrecks on this part of the circuit over the years. Let's hope it doesn't happen here. Championship implications could potentially happen here too. Savidovic is in a very tricky situation as Malcolm gets hit. Savidovic hits him. Malcolm's going to have the feathers ruffled a bit. But Wojciech Savidovic gets through at a crucial moment, because look at all these cars that are swarming into this battle here. Now it's Pete Harrod versus Wojciech Savidovic in the battle for 15th. Into the Parabolica we go. Over half the race gone. 1 lap 6, got 9. Oh, we're approaching the halfway mark of this race. We're 9 minutes into it. It's another 20-minute race here. The Northern Lights racing car getting forced out wide. Over the time and line we go. So Glatzel swarming it to the inside there. That is Dave Baker in the middle. He had breathing space a lap ago. Now look at all the cars that have surrounded him. And look at the speeds they're going at as well. Mental how they have to think and brake and turn, and that's Jamie Rushworth off into the gravel. Somehow he's able to hold the drift and get back onto the circuit. Otherwise I thought he was going to be off on a one-way ticket to the wall. Peter Della Roggia again, and Jack McIntyre there. Jamie Rushworth now demoted down to 6th, but that Nathan Davis is in 25th. He was starting at the front earlier. Tristan Bodice and Scott Malcolm are proving a real sticking issue to get past. And this is really holding up the likes of Baker, who hits Woodhouse, who hits Malcolm. Malcolm goes deep into the second Lesmo, but that doesn't stop the likes of Woodhouse and Glatzel from getting by. Baker on the inside, they're trying to make it potentially 3 wide. He's looking to the inside, going into the Ascari chicane anyway. all about survival of the fittest here, and many of these are surviving just about by their fingernails. Baker through a well-executed move into the Ascari, the Season 7 champion back in 2015. Is up to 19th. That's only 1 position gained since the start of the race. Meanwhile, look how coordinated this is. It's this immortal 1-2-3. Things have changed since we last checked in with these 3. It's now Hadfield leading the way with Johnston in 2nd, both of them gaining 6 positions. Michael Blake in 3rd with Kip Stevens 4th, Martin Front in 5th. Some potentially good results for those guys. Look at that, Sutton and Sedgwick setting identical lap times as they try and have a contest for fastest lap of the race. Johnston hits the front, Blake goes into 2nd, Hadfield from 1st down to 3rd. And this allows Stevens, Front and Paul Smith in with a shout here. Some potentially huge points on offer for many of these drivers here. Johnston, an AM driver, Blake too, so too Hadfield. Opportunity that they really can't afford to miss, especially with the pro drivers, like the quickest of the pro drivers, being completely out of the equation. Kip Stevens, of course, went into this race meeting 15th in the points, the lowest of the pro drivers. A strong result here could really help him, as Johnston somehow gains time by going off at the second Lesmo. A load of other drivers in the background seem to fancy his tactic too. Sutton on this lap put a purple in the first sector. Into the Ascari, Johnston, Blake, Hadfield and Stevens. Now it could be Paul Smith trying to get a top 5 spot. It's not over yet. They're still going to go at it down the back straight here. And just in front, Kip Stevens trying to get in the Immortal party. If there's anybody that likes gate crashing a party, it's Kip Stevens. Look at this, crisscross on the exit. Paul Smith, the Yorkshireman, going to try and get past Martin Front here as we come across the line. Martin Front has a very eventful race. Turned across by, he's got Malcolm at the start of the race going into the Della Roggia. He got a huge slowdown penalty, was able to carry on, and it still remains inside the top 5 as in the background Maciej Sakovic puts in a new personal best, so to Tristan Bodis. But now Smith going to the inside. Is he going to try and get by the Yorkshireman's nose? It's very much cut off by the Scuderia Haggis car. We didn't also mention Alex Simpson is out of the race too. So 2 disastrous second races of the day for 2 of the championship contenders, Nicole Foggy and Alex Simpson. Here's that second group then. It's Adam McNally trying to keep Sutton at bay. Sutton's gone and I think is disqualified, which is another huge moment in the championship. 3 cars set to score 0 points. You'd think that the incident point would be in Sutton's mind, but oh, McFadden gets hit by Simmons. They somehow survive, and they've lost a whole load more time for it. Don't know whether Jim McFadden's just trying to move across to make a point there, not too sure. But drama there in the battle for 12th. Simmons moving about all over the place. This is falling into a lap for Wojciech Savidovic. Sutton scoring 0 points. Alex Simpson, his teammate, scoring 0 points. Nicole Foggy, championship leader, also scoring 0 points. In fact, just looking at the standings quickly here, McFarlane, where's he? He sat in 17th, so he'll be getting some decent points. Pete Harrod, he sat in 15th place. Oh, Smith gets hit. It looked like another cutback could be in offer there, but it ended in damage. Now things have really gone off. Alex Simpson joins us here in the commentary box, a 0-pointer for him, along with Nicole Foggy. Alex, what happened?
During today, poor Woody with his problems.
Well, got one more race, but yeah, feel free to join us for the next 6 minutes, and we're looking here at the battle for 5th place, which is really kicking off going into Curva Grande.
Well, I don't actually think I'm going to be in that one, so I'll talk about that later.
Well, I guess it helps you a bit that Nicole's getting 0, and so too is Sutton, who's just been DQ'd.
Yeah, well, yeah. Music to my ears, is that?
Well, I guess
it's 2 wheels. Who was that? In the
Paul?
background. I think it might have been Paul. Yeah, looks like he's got some damage as well.
Well, yeah, I think it's a bit of a crummer consolation for you. I saw still kicking off. That's a disqualification for Jack Sedgwick. The two drivers, Sedgwick and Sutton, that were working their way through the field are now out of it, and McNally is still trying to find a route back to the circuit here.
He's got wheel
broken
damage.
Right rear. Yeah, broken right rear. The race is over for him. Similar to what happened to Brian Holmes in race 1 at that very part of the circuit.
If he can make it round, though, it is lap 9. He would be able to finish the race and score some points for himself and his team. Of course, you get about, I think you can get about 3 or 4 laps in with a meatball, so he should be okay to still score points. It looks like he might be able to limp it around.
It's not looking as bad as originally feared, but he's got to have to turn right sooner or later, and I think the car might spit him out there. There's Sven Glatzel, another driver that will be benefiting hugely by some of the retirements in this one. So too David Baker as well. That 19th place might not look too good on paper, but could be gaining some potential points. It's still a Simortal 1-2-3, by the way. Oh, there goes over, up and over goes Adam McNally.
Oh, jeez.
Could have, in theory, he could have made it back, but I think.
But he can't now, can he?
And that is the end of the race for him. Over the front straight we go, then on to lap 10. Good battle here between Dave Baker, Jack McIntyre, Scott Malcolm as well, who was causing some issues at the start of the race when him and Martin Front collided. Probably a bit unfair to say it was just him. I'm sure the stewards will work out what was going on there. Here's Dave Baker then, trying to get as many points as he can for CQR. There's not too many of them in this race. Pete Harrod's the highest CQR official driver in 13th. Dave Baker in 18th place. In terms of Apex, you'd have to look for George Simmons as being the highest one there. He's in 10th. Savidovic is in 12th. And the team that's currently leading the team's championship, GT Omega, their highest drivers, Ross McFarlane, sat in 15th place. So this is a great opportunity for many of the Pro-Am drivers to get some points on the board in their championship fight.
Yeah, it was crazy first couple of laps, actually. A lot of drivers going off sort of in and around us, sort of at the front. So I'm not surprised a lot of us have ended up retiring. Just manic.
We didn't exactly see what happened to Foggy, nor to you, so I think we'll probably have to look at the event viewer to find those ones. Kip Stevens, not too many teams have got 1-2-3s in the BSRTC. Pete Newman Media were one of them back a few years ago. Apex Racing managed to do it at the Glen a few years back as well. Sim also trying to do that here, but Kip Stevens, ever the spoiler, is trying to get involved here with potentially, well, yeah, with 2 laps to go. Crossing the line, just under 2 minutes left, and it's about a 1:47 lap here.
They're working well together, actually. Instead of going side by side at the front there, they decided to push each other, which meant their teammate Adam Hadfield actually got the draft. But Kip trying to have a little look up the inside. The outside line's actually the more favourable one. You carry more speed round there. It's easier to keep the overlap, and then you've got the inside for the first chicane. So, yeah, nice driving from Hadfield. Does exactly that. And, yeah, Kip's going to have to throw one in if he's going to get by down there. He decides not.
Don't know if that could potentially scream last lap lunge, potentially. We'll have to wait and see there, but you were right about the way they were coordinating things at the front. Hadfield left behind to deal with Stevens, and he managed to deal with him pretty well there. He's just got to keep him back for another 1.5 laps. Hadfield running out wide. That'll give Kip another opportunity. Ascari is always a tough place to get past. Look at what happened between Alex Simpson and...
Yeah, it was Ross, wasn't it?
Ross in race 1.
And of course, when you're braking so late there as well, the back moves around, and I think that's kind of what happened with me and Ross. Ross towards me and me towards him, and yeah, fortunately we made that contact, and it sent me around anyway. Oh, Kip with a good run. Again, all the 3 teammates just communicating perfectly together just to make sure that Hadfield is constantly getting something. Although Kip's got his nose there, if you can try and hold it round the outside of Parabolica, I still don't think it matters. I'm pretty sure they'll just move down the straight, even if he gets tucked in their draft. Well, we'll see. We're about to find out.
Yeah, we talked at the beginning of the programme about how important teammates were going to be here, but over the line we go.
There we go, surely. Yeah, that's it. Just Hadfield moves to the left, leaves Kip out, hung out to dry. And I would think here Michael Blake's going to get the run round the outside. And once again, as long as he times this right, he should carry the momentum around the outside. Great
racing between 3 teammates and Kip Stevens. Whoa! Hadfield on the grass going through Curva Grande, and all 3 teammates need to check up, and this could somehow allow Kip Stevens to get second place, or maybe even something better than that. Teammates all have to check up. Stevens is up to second. He could try and get the lead. He won't be able to. He is! Up the inside of Hadfield goes Kip Stevens. This is remarkable here. They all check up. Oh, he's been turned across. Kip Stevens into the wall. Race over for him. Oh, that is such a shame for Kip Stevens and such a shame for the Immortal team. I think they should still be able to hold on for a 1, 2, 3. But look at Hadfield, Alex. The right rear is broken. It's bent in. And he's going to really have to struggle to get back home. It's looking pretty leery down the back straight.
1 lap to go. Well, half a lap to go. Fortunately, he's got a little bit of draft to his team. He might be all right here. Who is it is behind my phone? Or Jake Blackwell? I couldn't quite see in the background. But, oh no! Save it! Give it some, Hadfield, come on! Oh, that could be curtains though, that could be curtains.
But how far is Blackwell behind? He's 2 seconds
still
behind.
away.
It's turning right. I think he's got to turn right, that's the problem, and that's what happened to McIntyre. Meanwhile, it's a battle for the lead between the 2 teammates. Up the inside goes Michael Blake. He takes the lead, goes deep into the Parabolica. It's going to be a formation finish between these 2. Is it going to be a 1, 2, 3? It looks like Hadfield has just about made it through. And somehow it's going to be a 1, 2, 3. This Immortal 1 achievement for a Pro-Am team. Michael Blake wins. Mark Johnston second. Adam Hadfield gets third in a severely damaged car. Jake Blackwell 4th. Martin Front 5th. Rusty Laidler 6th. Maciek Sakovic 7th. 8th George Simmons. 9th Paul Smith. 10th for Stuart McFadden. Goodness me.
Sounded hectic, that's for sure.
Did Kip Stevens even make it to the end? I think he is on...
No, he's dropping down, so I think it's going to be 1 lap down for Kip.
Yeah, he had to turn back to the pits, potentially engine blown, I don't know, but what drama there on the last lap. It all started from Hadfield, who was the leader of the 3 Immortal cars, getting very sideways through Curva Grande. All 3 of them had to check up. Stevens went round the outside going into Della Roggia. Fancied his chances up the inside. Immortal car moved across. 2 went off into the wall. Yeah, see it reenacted here on the replay. I don't think Stevens is at fault there, really. He stayed in the same position.
Well, that might take away the 1, 2, 3 after... Have a look at it. Of course, Kip not finishing says that he got a meatball, so it'll get automatically looked at. So that could be a shame. That could spoil that party.
Before we get on to the results, I don't know whether Sam has got the ability to see what happened to first Nicole Foggy. You can see where he jumped to the pits. It's just trying to find the incident that's going to be the tricky moment. We might have it here for you. It's a long way behind. He's already got damage here.
Yeah, he hit the wall on the right-hand side of the straight into turn 1. So I don't know how, literally off the line. I don't know how or why he was there, but yeah, he went flying into that wall going down the main straight. So
Sam's managed to get it here. Shades of Augusto Farfus here in the World Touring cars from 07. Oh yeah. Oof.
That was me on the left there. I literally soiled myself.
Think I would. Well, he managed to make it through there, but a few laps later, we'll find out what happened to Alex Simpson. 0 points for Alex, 0 for Nicole, and of course 0 for Sutton and for Sedgwick too. This is what happened to Alex. I don't know if I have it at my disposal to have a look at it, but I'm sure that the viewers at home will probably be able to see it.
Car's looking good. Still there.
There it is, right. Oh!
Dush just from behind, unfortunately. I think Jamie hit me, and then that was a whack for good measure. I actually don't think the Jamie one gave me the meatball. I think it was that car rolling through there, so... and it was just a check-up, which was a bit unfortunate. But, yeah, so I think that one will actually go down as a racing incident.
Drama there. Drama wherever way you look here in the BSRTC. We said at the beginning of the programme briefly when Andrew Woodhouse was here how this is probably the make or break race meeting before we all go to Daytona for the season finale. And what drama it's caused here. There's still one more race to go as well. Michael Blake wins. Mark Johnson in second. Adam Hadfield in third, completing a 1-2-3 for Simmortal. 4 for Jake Blackhall, the Aussie. And then Martin Front in fifth. Rusty Laidler 6th. 7th for Maciek Sakovic. George Simmons in 8th. Paul Smith in 9th. Joe McFadden in 10th. How many Pro-Am drivers do I count there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 out of the top 10 all Pro-Am drivers. A massive result for some of those teams and many of those drivers. 11th for Wojciech Svidovic. I'm really intrigued to see what that's done to the championship. 12th for Pete Harrod. Pete Harrod could find himself potentially maybe 3rd or 2nd in the points with a result like that. Tristan Bodis 13th. 14th for Ross McFarlane. 15th place for Sven Glatzel. Jack McIntyre 16th. Dave Baker 17th place finish for him. 18th Mark Woodhouse. And then moving on further back. 19th for Scott Malcolm. 20th for Pete Newman. 21st place for Craig Williams. 22nd Max Wright. Jamie Rushworth the champion finishing the season 4 champion finishing in 23rd. Michael Hall his teammate 24th. Then Will Daniels managed to survive this race. Then Lee Deemer, Chris Wood, then Dan Brown. And then the cars had issues during the race. Kip Stevens crashed into on the final lap by one of the Simmortal cars. And then the cars had issues during the race. Christian Rose 1 lap down. Alan McNally 3 laps down. Jack Sedgwick 4 disqualified. Same goes for Ash Sutton as well. Nathan Davis, the Welshman, 7 laps down. Colin Cunniff, he had issues right at the start. Alex Simpson, there he is, 36th place, 8 laps down. And then the rest of them. Brian Holmes, 2 0-point finishes for him. Then Stephen Baxter, 11 laps down. Another Showdown driver getting up no points at all. And what a disastrous race it's been for Northern Lights Racing GT Omega, with his teammate Nicole Foggy, the points leader, and they're driving for the team that's top of the team's championship. 11 laps down, no points either. So a lot of excitement in race 2, and looking at those drivers that picked up 0 points, it means that we've got a very exciting race 3 on offer. So we'll hand it over to Sam Kumo, who was trying to make sense of all that, to bring up the wheel, and we'll see who's going to be on the pole for the final race of the day, Sam.
Yeah, the wheel's on your screen right now. Yeah, I don't think there's much sense to be made from the previous race, but it definitely was a great one for the Pro-Am drivers, not so much for the Pro drivers. We got a little bit smaller reverse grid, it is 40.
40? Well, there's not 40 finishes, is there? So this means it will go to the last car one. There's not even. It'll go to the last car 1 lap down, isn't it? And that is, as far as I'm aware, Christian Rose. I think. I'll just double check that for you now. I'll bring up the what it says on the sim. Last car 1 lap down was indeed Christian Rose. So he's going to be on the pole. Kip Stevens, you could say, gets a reprieve for what happened on that last lap. He's going to be starting on the front row for the 2nd time today. Then Dan Brown 3rd, Chris Wood 4th, and Lee Deemer going to be lining up 5th on the grid for the final race of the day. Well, some drivers have survived, some haven't. But there's still 1 race to go, and still many points on offer before we go to Daytona next week. Join us after the break. While we're on a break, be sure to have a look at the Dynamic Sim Racers World GT Series finale. But be sure to be back here for the final race of the day here at Monza in the British Sim Race Touring Car Championship.
the most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
You need a good exit from the final corner, turn 11 and turn 12. Basically, they are long corners. The car is in a dynamic state a lot of the time. As you see right now, Evdoka pushing on the gas pedal. Also, he has to be careful because he doesn't want to run over the pace car, but I think that the race is going to start and we're going to get the green flag. Good start by Evdoka.
Yeah, he went super early, didn't he? And Evdoka gets away really well. Robinson's got ahead of Malcolm then, so that must have just been the jump off the line then. He's trying to make his way up through the field. It's really tight ahead as well with Jacobson defending against Wright, and Wright down the inside. Jacobson a little bit offline. McFadden's going to go for it well as well, and this is one of the hairpins where you can get instance so easy if you just lock a brake. And seemingly this time they are okay. Max Wright is going to be able to make that move on Anthony Jacobson, and Jacobson is wide, and as he spun the car not quite as though he may dip a wheel, but he has lost several positions in a matter of a couple of corners.
And there is a myth that the name of the corner is that because if you go wide you end up in Siberia. I don't know how true that is.
Oh, sorry, coming off the circuit.
Well, that wasn't Siberia, that was the Honda corner, but still the point remains. Honestly, Malcolm is closing in on Robinson, so we might see an attempt. We know Malcolm is always very careful in everything he does on the track, and Robinson is wide. Wow. Yeah, the attacking driver can only force a move down here at the hairpin. Let's see if McFadden goes for it. He is going for it, and he makes the move. No, they both got wide. They saved the car, and I think that McFadden let Malcolm by as a way to say sorry, I think, after that contact there. Yeah, he is, and he's going maybe, hopefully this will not be a desperate move from McFadden there, because we know... Oh, great move there on the inside. Now he has the outside here. Let's see what Malcolm does. He's lots in behind now, side by side. And Malcolm is going to be careful. He has the outside here, and great move by McFadden. I was not expecting, Sam, a move there. As Michael Evdoka is going to win the race.
Yeah, brilliant drive for Michael Evdoka, and he's won the race one here at Phillip Island, and by quite a margin, 15 seconds across the line. And he might be starting from the back of the pack for race 2, but would not bet against him perhaps scoring a triple today. Malcolm has run out of fuel, and he's going to be vulnerable from Dima across the line. I don't know where the line is. I think it might be quite far down the road, and yes, he's still got a 20th lap to go, so he's got a while to get down here. And Scott Malcolm, how unlucky is this for him? Anthony Jacobson is just going to pass him on the line. Malcolm was not far behind on the line, and he has now finished, so he'll stay ahead of Cameron and Wright comfortably. Here we go. Jacobson from the pole position. The pace car is in, and Jacobson goes. Got a nice little launch against Lee Dima, who drops back in a second position. I think Stuart McLaren's already up into 3rd position. What a great start that is for him. Jamie has round the outside. He has actually made that move on Colin Robinson. So Robinson down 2 positions already. And it's all getting very close down into the hairpin. And down the inside is Anthony Jacobson. Dima trying to make the move. Also getting involved is Stuart McFadden, who might gain a position up into 2nd position. But no, Lee Dima hangs on down the inside through this next section of corners. This is where McFadden made a move on Max Wright in the last race. Trying to make the move here. Lee Dima trying to stick it out, but no, he can't. And McFadden's moved up into 2nd position, and that's a perfect start for him. And here comes Jamie Ayres now back on the inside of Lee Dima. Already made up position is Ayres, and he's off the track onto the gravel, and that could lose him a position. And he's going to hit into the Mercedes. And oh dear, that's so unfortunate for Max Wright. I don't know if he's just trying to make it difficult for himself. Oh, that's getting a bit awkward. Ayres off the circuit again, and it's also side by side now. Anthony Jacobson trying to defend against Colin Robinson. Robinson round the outside in this one. This is the line that the drivers really like. And there you go. They've made the move, and Abdoka now going down the inside. Abdoka still feels as though he can win this race, and he's going to try to move on Colin Robinson. Oh, big crash in the background.
Thompson and Jacobson are in the grass. Oh, bad crash there. There's one car in the tire wall. Let's check the replay.
Oh, it's yeah, McFadden at 25.9, Abdoka 24.9. He's roaring along right now.
Yeah, great lap there, and Dimmer is a bit in the grass. Will he be able to stop the car? Yes, I told about that grass in the beginning of the broadcast.
I think Stuart McFadden's going to win the race, actually. So, yeah. Oh, I'm not sure, actually. Abdoka's looking very quick. Malcolm off the circuit, and he's going to lose our position to Robinson. Maybe he's not. Conor Robinson, at least both of them should be able to qualify for the showdown right now, because Ray Connor's going to drop up, and Dima's off.
Dima's off once again in the first corner. He is not liking that corner in this 2nd race, and he lost another position. McFadden very defensive in the 2nd corner, maybe too much. He compromised his exit line. Abdoka maybe will go for a move here at the hairpin if he can stay in the slipstream. McFadden biting that inside corner maybe too hard than necessary, and Abdoka is in! He goes for a move!
That was stunning from Michael Abdoka. We've seen a couple of great moves by him so far this season. Interlagos comes to mind, where he made the move on Richard Warmingham. But here it was from Abdoka, and it was from miles back. And I imagine McFadden was just, okay, I don't want to get in the way here because he's going to spear into me. But no, easy on the apex, and that's the race lead finish for Michael Abdoka, although it is very close between them still. And back comes Stuart McFadden. This is incredible. What a battle this is. He's got a wiggle though, and that's cost him the chance, perhaps, Stuart McFadden. And now Abdoka retakes the lead. What an attack that was from McFadden to come back at the 2nd hairpin. There's not a whole lot McFadden can do from here. Abdoka rounds the final corner here at Phillip Island, and he's going to reach the checker flag first. Michael Abdoka takes race 2 here at Phillip Island, and what a race victory that was. It was hard earned. He went very early in race 1, and he has gone early once again in race 3. Michael Abdoka leads round the field. The pace car into the pits, and Michael Abdoka being harassed going down the pit straight by Jamie Ayres. But it looks as though he's going to be okay this time. Oh dear, and that's a big crash for Lee Dima. Very close between Robinson holding off Anthony Jacobson, with Scott Malcolm in 5th place. Boy, does he need a good result. And Robinson's made the same mistake as he made in race 2. He's off the circuit, and that's 3 places gone for him, and crucial points in the ARM Championship as well.
And you can get a good run.
Close for 4th.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah, Jacobson and Malcolm running side by side going into the first corner. Malcolm on the inside. And Wright also has joined the party, Sam.
where he came into this round behind Colin Robinson in the point standings, and he's had two very unfortunate races, has Scott Malcolm, but back comes Anthony Jacobson. He's down the inside into the hairpin, but round the outside goes Scott Malcolm, but he's off the circuit, and he might lose a position potentially to Max Wright. Max Wright round the outside, and this day, Marco, for Scott Malcolm just seems to get worse and worse. Yeah, and it's all working well for Max Wright, the driver in third in the AM Championship. He's not going to fight for the championship in the AM category, but he is going to be fighting for third place in this race. And down the inside he is of Anthony Jacobson. Can Jacobson repel the attack around the outside? No, he can't.
So you know, you go off the line and you get loose. And what happened to Dimmer at the beginning? He got loose, but when he tried to save the car, he ran into that patch of dirt, and that basically sent his car flying to the outside of the front straight, as we see this great battle with Robinson slowly creeping in from 6th position, maybe trying to get a piece of the pie as well.
Brilliant move this from Scott Malcolm, and he's made his way ahead. That was absolutely superb. Just seemed to say he was scrubbing a little bit more speed off than he had to, and down the inside goes Anthony Jacobson. What a move that is. He loves that move. Malcolm way too early on the brakes. I thought maybe Robinson was a little bit deep on Malcolm there going into the hairpin, but yeah, Malcolm, I'm struggling to judge his pace, to be fair, because he seems to lose the position, and off the circuit goes Anthony Jacobson, and he's going to lose one position, and he's going to lose 2 positions, and down to 6th place now.
Malcolm went past Jacobson, like you said. I think that Jacobson went for a ride in the grass because he had a 3 seconds slower lap than Malcolm. Yeah, there it is. And that gifted the position back to Malcolm once again. And now here comes Max Wright. Let's see which way he will come out of the pits. If the short route, yeah, he takes the short route. And he stays in front of Scott Malcolm, not by much, but a comfortable margin in the end. And he has towed back to the pits, so this is game over for him. Checker flag in the air.
Michael Docker, he's going to get the triple. The third driver to do it this season, Michael Docker. 3 out of 3 at Phillip Island.
Yeah, I think I actually drove the tyres off that car tonight, and I was just wanting to try and get as far away from Colin as I possibly could. By the time I got past somebody, and I got somebody between myself and him, a couple of laps later, I look at the relative, and there he's past the guy right behind me, and oh, what else do you do? But there's 2 rounds left, anything can happen.
But also this series, of course, for the first round of the Showdown. Certainly do not miss it. It'll be absolutely fascinating to see who will take the first round of the Showdown event. But from me, from Marco, and from Sam, we'll say goodbye for now, and we'll see you next time.
Hi there, I'm Richard Jobling, Senior Software Engineer here at iRacing. I'd like to show you some of the work that we've been doing to improve the collision and the damage in our sim. One of the major changes we've made is how our collision systems work. The old system stored the track as parametric surfaces, and the cars were made of collections of spheres. As the cars moved around the track, we would recompute planes using the track surfaces, and then test those against the spheres. This worked well for spheres, but was too specialized to adapt to our shapes. So for the new system, we've built new high-resolution meshes for each track. This is more efficient and gives us a lot more flexibility for the car shapes. The new mesh incorporates all the track features our guys work so hard to replicate. Things like curb geometry and changes in the surface material are all baked into the mesh. We've also taken our laser scan data and applied that to the mesh. And since the mesh is so high resolution, we capture all the detail that's necessary so that the tracks are just like the real thing. With our new mesh, we can now represent cars using smooth, convex hulls, which grouped together form the chassis, the bodywork, and all the other parts of the car. The new shapes are a much closer fit to the shape of the real car. During impacts, the shapes can deform according to the damage, and eventually they can break off as separate objects. All the parts, like wings, hoods and wheels, can also hang from their joints, flapping and vibrating until they eventually snap off. All these changes are going to add a whole new level of realism to our races. If you want to find out more, please visit iRacing.com and check out my blog post for lots more details.
Hi, my name's Greg Hill. I'm the Vice President.
Back here at Monza for the final race of the day. Topsy-turvy grid once again here in the British Sim Racers Touring Car Championship, and a number of drivers picking up 0 points. It's pretty much a full reverse grid because we have the amount of retirees plus the reverse wheel, picked up 40, and there were only 39 finishers. So interesting. Anyway, here's the grid. Sorry, no Andrew Woodhouse here, unfortunately. Christian Rose on the pole, Kip Stevens second, third for Dan Brown, fourth for Chris Wood, fifth for Lee Deemer, sixth for William Daniels, then Michael Hall seventh, Jamie Rushworth eighth, Max Wright ninth, and Craig Williams in 10th. Then moving on back, we've got Pete Newman and Scott Malcolm. So all set to go here, and it'll be another 20-minute race. I wonder what this could do in terms of the championship. By the way, Wojciech Savidovic now leads the way. 21-point lead for him. Will he extend it here, or will he lose it all in the final race? Away we go. A lot of movement in the background. Don't know whether someone stalled or something. It looked like a pretty terrible start for Tristan Bodis. Oh, it's happened already. Back into the middle of the field. Nothing they can do. Everybody slamming on the brakes to try and avoid it. Who's in the lead? I have no idea. I can honestly not say who's in the lead. A few cars have gone over the fence into the bushes. There's a car that's out. That's a Secret Car Academy car. Alex Simpson is involved. He's come to a standstill. Said he was going to be trundling around at the back to help the team pick up some points, and it looks like remarkably that the car is clean after all that. But who leads the race? It's Christian Rose, and they're already going into the first lesson. A lot of drivers involved in that. Just trying to have a look and see if there's any of the championship contenders. Not too sure, but either way, going onto the back straight, Rose leads, Brown second, Stevens third, Chris Wood fourth, Michael Hall fifth, Jamie Rushworth sixth, and then Will Daniels seventh. Wojciech Savidovic, the big winner out of all that. He's now gained 12 places and sits in eighth, but he is a long, long way behind Will Daniels in seventh. He's 4 seconds behind, in fact. So basically, we've got two groups of cars: those that survived the wreck at the start, and those that didn't. And in terms of cars that are championship contenders, somehow none of them suffered too much damage. In fact, it's really helped them massively. Just trying to find where Nicole Foggy is in all this, actually. He's gained 8 positions to 31st. There's Kip Stevens versus Chris Wood. Going into the final corner there. There is Nicole Foggy in 24th place. He currently sits in 2nd place in the points. So he only lost the lead after the 0-pointer in race 2. And he sits 21 points behind Wojciech. But he's going to lose some more ground here due to the fact that Wojciech is ahead of him already. End of the first lap then. There is Wojciech. He sits in 8th. Ash Sutton into the pit. So he's either got a meatball or he's got a penalty for jumping the start. Or he didn't serve a slowdown penalty in time. Something along those lines. Quite a few cars into the pits, in fact. Craig Williams, Scott Malcolm, Mark Woodhouse, Max Wright, Pete Newman, Dave Baker, all 3 of those already in there. This will help Nicole Foggy out a little bit, gaining some of those positions back. Ross McFarlane there in 11th, 12th Martin Front, Paul Smith in 13th place. And then it's 2 of the Immortal cars that made up the 1, 2, 3 at the end of the previous race, Mark Johnson and Adam Hadfield. Battle for the lead then. Christian Rose versus Dan Brown. Brown, who's had a very good evening so far. He got a 10th place in race 1, got a finish in race 2. Now he's at the front again here in race 3. Looking at the way the points are situated in the AM category, this is turning into a fairy tale race meeting for him as he goes off going in the Ascari. and somehow doesn't allow Kip Stevens through. Amazingly, Brown is still 9th in the points. That's because it's been such a good evening for pretty much all of the Pro-Am drivers. Christian Rose, though, good opportunity to get a win on the board for CQR Academy. Rose sits in 20th place in the standings. Has only picked up 1 win all year. Been on the podium 3 times and 14 top 10s. Get a second win here. Now about CQR Academy a bit. Jamie Rushworth in the background going wheel to wheel with Will Daniel. And over at the Scuderia Haggis cars, we're on board with Rushworth. For those of you that have watched the BSRTC over the many years, you can see the famous green gloves. And Rushworth used to drive for the Movie Go team. Series has moved on a lot since then. And Rushworth's trying to move on into 6th place. There's that outside line. Alex Simpson was talking about it when he joined us for race 2, saying how good it was on the outside. He's managed to get that place. He could get another one going into the Rogier here. Target is Chris Wood. Christian Rose takes the lead away from Dan Brown. Brown looked like he may have had the lead earlier. Christian Rose hits the front. 4 minutes of this race gone. We've got another 20-minute race on offer here. Dan Brown sensibly decides not to go up the inside into the second Lesmo. Now in turn means he's got to put his guard up because Kip Stevens now fancies that second place. Kip Stevens, who started second on the grid. 2-time BSRTC champion. Big crash at the end of the previous race where he was going for the win. And able to get it done. Here's Chris Wood in 5th. He's trying to get past Michael Hall and get up into 4th place. Michael Hall has had a okay evening up to this point, but a 4th place would be fantastic for him. Got to deal with Chris Wood, a veteran of the former club series on a Sunday night. Really acclimatised well to life in the BSRTC, as have many of the drivers that have raced the championship. Look at Pete Harrod, for example, in the Showdown too. They're aligned then onto lap 4. Wheel-to-wheel stuff here. They're almost touching. Team Mad versus CQR. Team Mad on the outside. Michael Hall on the inside for CQR. He's going to try and hold it out there. But the speed is on the outside line, so we'll wait and see. Meanwhile, Dan Brown takes the lead away from Christian Rose. Does drift out wide going through Curva Grande. Wheel onto the grass there. Oh, the inside goes Hall. Stevens is able to hold on to that 3rd place. And now Chris Wood is having to do the defending from Will Daniel. So Rushworth past Wood, and now Wood is having to deal with these cars behind. Wojciech Savidovic is gradually closing on these guys. He was 4 seconds behind at the end of the first lap. You can see there, just about a second, just over a second behind. So the new points leader is a-coming, and he's got over half the race to do it. Don't know if it's the potential of him getting a win here. There is 3 seconds between Savidovic and the leader, but anything is possible in the BSRTC, especially if these cars up the road start squabbling, which they could theoretically do. Dan Brown and Christian Rose look pretty close in terms of pace. Going to get the stats up now and see whether Dan Brown has won in the BSRTC before. Sits in 27th in this championship. No, he hasn't. Gone on the podium twice. Best results coming in 2nd place at Motegi at the start of the season. Followed up with a 2nd place. Oh, that is it, I think. He might have got a 3rd place. Yeah, he got a 3rd place at Brands. So he hasn't been on the podium really since the start of the season. Could be coming good right at the end here. He's leading laps. Just put in a new personal best on lap 7. Oh, sorry, on lap 5 of the race. 7 minutes into it. Now Christian Rose with that top end speed in that CQR Academy car, trying to look up the inside. And there's a very heavily smoking Apex Racing car that they're about to lap. That is George Simmons. Hasn't gone at all well. He was one of the cars involved in the wreck at the start. Turned to the pits and then got back going again. Purple sector 1 by Stuart McFadden. And all of a sudden, front 6 has become a front 10. Top 10 separated by just 2.7 seconds here. Brown, then Rose, Stevens, Hall, Rushworth in 5th. Chris Wood in 6th, Daniel 7th, then it's Davidovic, then McFadden, Glatzel. McFadden and Davidovic both have gained 12 positions since the start. They did a remarkable job of picking the bones out of that wreck at the start, and it's something that Wojciech had to do at Interlagos back in 2015. He didn't win the title on that occasion. But if you want to be a champion, you've got to have fortune on your side, and a moment like that could really help him. Look at the car as well, it's pretty much clean. Not even a scratch on that Apex Racing car, but he will be hoping to make a mark on the rest of the field here. The first of his targets is Will Daniels in the Northern Lights Racing Scuderia Haggis car. He had trouble getting by those cars earlier on in the race. See if he can do it here. Over the line onto lap 7 then. To lap 6, say 1:46.7 by Dan Brown, another personal best. Car seems to be getting quicker, he seems to be getting quicker, but these guys seem to be getting ever closer. Is Davidovic going to go for the position here into the Curva Grande? You bet he is. Here the car's sliding their way through the fastest corner on the circuit. Daniels isn't giving up without a fight though. It's going to be on the inside for the De La Rogia. Davidovic is going to have to be wary of this. Pick up a 0, especially after so many other drivers have. Indeed he does, he's through into 7th, so 13 positions gained. It's now just 1.6 seconds off the lead. Next up is Chris Wood, another of the Pro-Am drivers. Chris Wood, who still remains at the top of the Pro-Am title fight. He's got a 15-point advantage over Michael Blake after Blake's result in race 2, where he finished part of a 1-2-3 with the Simortal team. To Ascari. There's Sven Glatzel. He's got a fantastic view of a great fight between Stuart McFadden and Will Daniels. Glatzel, who's missing the front of his car, he's definitely showing some signs of a car that was involved in the wreck at the start. As for Stuart McFadden, that's what the bonnet looks like as we look down from the helicopter. Very parabolic, a good, decent run by Sven Glatzel despite the damage. Looking from the rear of the CQR Academy car. Meanwhile, for the front, it's wheel to wheel. It's Christian Rose looking up the inside. He takes it. Christian Rose hits the front. But Dan Brown is going to try and get back by on the outside. Watch out for Kip Stevens. He might be a bit more wary this time after what happened in race 2. He tried to get the lead there. But then he's got Michael Hall right behind him as well, so he can't really afford to take his time in trying to make a move. Christian Rose then to the front. 4 tenths of a second advantage. Jimmy Rushworth is battling away with Chris Wood, it looks like, which is in turn helping Wojciech Davidovic close in even more. Chris Wood very nearly got turned across the front of the Apex Racing car. Down the back straight we go, towards the Ascari chicane. It does feel like a bit of a waiting game here. I think many of these drivers are just waiting for the opportunity. It's set up perfectly as well because we've got the quick drivers at the back of this train trying to get forward. But I have to say the real stars of the show today have been the likes of Dan Brown and Chris Wood, Christian Rose as well. Drivers that on many of the other circuits wouldn't have a hope of being near the front on pace because quicker drivers would be able to lap quicker than them. But this is Monza and it's a slipstreaming circuit, and it's what's helping these guys get top results like Simortal did in race 2. 8 minutes to go, 7.5 minutes to go in fact as we come across the line. Rushworth is now going to make his move on Chris Wood. Is Wojciech going to go to the outside though? Might follow Chris Wood through. He might lay back just in case something kicks off here. Meanwhile, Dan Brown has got the lead back from Christian Rose, or has he? He was looking up the inside. Rose is using that outside like Dan Brown was early on in the race. Brown moves across to defend from Wojciech. Michael Hall under pressure from his own teammate now. And here comes Wojciech Savidovic around the outside of Chris Wood, up into 6th place now. Wood demoted to 7th, and now under pressure from Vadin, who goes up the inside of him. May even, oh, and a bit of almost lag contact there, pushing the Team Mad car now down to 8th, and Daniels could even relegate him further to 9th if he's not too careful. But now he's got to worry about Sven Glatzel. Here's the battle for the lead. Rose on the inside for the Ascari, but Dan Brown will have the outside, and we'll have the racing line. It's all going to be about who's later on the brakes. Turn in, still wheel to wheel, but Rose hits that inside curb and bounces into the path of Dan Brown, who has to get on the brakes to avoid him. It's going to bunch things up even more now as we go onto the back straight. Less than 6 minutes to go, not too many laps left. Here's Nicole Foggy, and he's the biggest mover in the field. He's gained 25 positions and is in 14th place. And if he can get past Paul Smith, he'll be in 13th, and you know what? I'd consider that damage limitation, really. Especially if Wojciech finishes in 6th, there's not going to be too many points between a car that finishes in 6th and a car that finishes in 13th place. So I think he can go to Daytona still with a hope of getting the title, but of course it will be Wojciech that will be sitting happy at the top of the table, knowing that it is in his hands. That being said, he's still going to make it to the end of this one. Christian Rose versus Dan Brown, yet again. CQ Academy car on the outside through the Curva Grande. And on the brakes, contact, bumper to bumper. Rose gets hit, Brown gets hit, Stevens gets hit by Hall. Stevens gets forced into the gravel. He might not be too happy with that, but Stevens gives CQR car the inside, and then a little bit of a tap afterwards. Savidovic going to get past Rushworth through the first Lesmo. Two champions going at it. Season 4 versus Season 6 and the 2017 champion. Wojciech is through. Wojciech up to 5th. 1.7 seconds between the man in 5th, the championship leader, and the race leader, Christian Rose. Got to give some context for you. Christian Rose has won 1 race this season. Wojciech Savidovic has won 11. Going for win number 12. Got to get past Kip Stevens, Michael Hall, Dan Brown and Christian Rose if he wants to do so. Riding on board with him, he might be getting set to work on Kip Stevens actually, with what potentially could be an insane move around the outside of Parabolica here. Can't see Kip Stevens, but he is ahead. There he is, just about. Going to be the power of the Apex car versus the pace of the Vortex car here. They were neck and neck over the line. Now Savidovic is going to have to get the chrome horn out and do a bit of bump drafting on the CQR car of Michael Hall here. Vortex car Stevens got some pace on it. I think Wojciech just got on the brakes there a little bit, and Stevens is out of control going into Curva Grande. Somehow makes it. At the same time, you can see Dan Brown and Christian Rose are still duking it out for the lead. Now we're going to get on the brakes. Tell you what, it's the best part of a minute, I think, between when the drivers use the brakes going into Parabolica and when they use them here. Stevens trying to find a new line, I think, on the outside of the De La Roggia, and it's just going to slow these guys up even more. Dan Brown and Christian Rose are away with this one. Win may be out of the question for Wojciech, but a 3rd place still do nicely. Ten laps completed in the final race of the day, the British Sim Racers Touring Car Championship. Drama at the start where a huge wreck unfolded before we even got to the first corner. But this is the battle for the lead. Dan Brown takes the lead into the Variante Ascari. He hits the front again and demotes Christian Rose back down to 2nd. These two start battling. It will allow the cars behind start dreaming of a race victory again. Dan Brown fighting for what he's worth because he hasn't won in the BSRTC before. He's been on the podium twice, but that was back at the start of the season. Through the Parabolica. When we get to the line, there's going to be 2 laps to go. Over the line, you could barely separate them. About 0.03 of a second in it when they crossed the timing line there. And I think it would have been Christian Rose that would have won the race if that was the last lap. Dan Brown's going to stay there. All round the outside goes Christian Rose. You cannot take your eyes off this battle. Just like how you couldn't take your eyes off the LA Rams game on Monday night if you're a NFL fan. Into the De La Roggia. Much better run by Brown. Can he make the most of it? I think he can. Up the inside into the first Lesmo. And Dan Brown for Northern Lights Racing takes the lead, but speed on the outside, the way the corner is cambered, does favour that car on the outside, but Dan Brown is able to get the car into the first position. And there's just 1.5 laps now between himself and the first win of the season. Definitely elevated the championship. 2 podiums, 13 top 10s. Christian Rose has been on the podium 3 times, won 1 of them. Dan Brown goes very deep into Ascari. And that advantage that he just about built up has been completely eradicated. And it's going to allow Kip Stevens and Savidovic in with a sniff as well when we start the final lap of the race. Everything is falling into place here for a titanic duel for the win. Savidovic looking up the inside of Stevens. Kip Stevens has only won once this season as well. Rose 1 win, Brown no wins, Kip Stevens 1 win, Wojciech Savidovic in 4th, 11 wins this season. Couldn't really get polar opposites in the championship. Over the line we go then, last lap, Kip Stevens, new personal best. Dan Brown is going to be on the inside for the Curva Grande, but we have seen so far tonight that that isn't always the best place to be. Speed they carry through there. Christian Rose is now going to be under pressure, so too Dan Brown, because there's a space on the inside, and I'm sure Kip Stevens is going to go for it if he fancies it. Savidovic is going to go around the outside of Stevens here. He's going to have the inside for the second part of the De La Roggia. Christian Rose went off. Slow down for Dan Brown. That's such a shame. He was going for that win, but now he's going to be struggling for a top 5. He might get a podium if something kicks off here between Stevens and Wojciech. Meanwhile, Christian Rose is running away with things. Got about half a second, maybe 3/4 of a second in hand here. In fact, it's more than that. It is 3/4 of a second between Christian Rose and Kip Stevens. And unless something monumental happens, maybe a mistake from Christian Rose going into Ascari, then it might be him getting the win. For the Ascari chicane we go. What a shame for Dan Brown, because I think he could have maybe got the win there. Meanwhile, it's going to be a fight to the flag for the rest of the positions. Look at Stuart McFadden, one of the biggest movers in the field, 15 places gained. He's looking up the inside into the Parabolica to inflict more pain on Dan Brown. It might not be a top 5 for the Northern Lights Racing GTM Scuderia Aga's car after all, but it's going to be a second win of the season. Christian Rose, he wins, second for Stevens. Wojciech Savidovic, a crucial podium. Michael Hall 4th, and Stuart McFadden just about gets 5th in the end. Poor Dan Brown was in the lead briefly at the start of the last lap, ends up finishing in 6th. Nicole Foggy, a 12th place, and I wonder how crucial that could be when we get to Daytona and the points are on the line. Here comes Alex Simpson. He's going to finish 22nd. He said he would trundle round at the back. We say trundle, the car looks pretty heavily damaged, especially at the front and at the rear too. You see any of that damage at the start? It looks like Alex will gain a place because Brian Holmes has either run out of fuel or he's playing a team game there. I suspect more the latter than the former. Holmes finishing in 22nd place. Remarkably, we only had 26 finishers in all that, and if you take away the cars that didn't hit, only 24 of the 39 that started managed to finish this race without making a visit to the pits. I did say at the beginning of the programme that this is a car breaker. It's a make or break meeting in terms of the championship. Don't think we expected it to take such a dramatic turn like that. But as the cars make their way back to the pits, probably get the results up and run you through the finishing order on a dramatic night at Monza. Will Daniels picks up his 2nd win of the season. Christian Rose picks out his second win of the season, I should say, for the CQR Academy team. He isn't in the showdown, but it will help him a lot. Right then. Christian Rose wins. Kip Stevens finishes in second place. 422 points left on offer for the Drivers' Championship. I don't know whether Kip Stevens might, once the points get updated, I don't know whether Kip Stevens might be in with a shout of it. We'll wait and see as Christian Rose goes for some donuts on the front straight. Wojciech Savidovic finishes third. Fourth for Michael Hall. Fifth, Stuart McFadden. Sixth for Dan Brown. Seventh for Will Daniels. 2 Pro-Am drivers there. And I'm sure they'll be happy with their efforts, but Dan Brown came so close to that win. Jamie Rushworth in 8th. 9th for Ross McFarlane. 10th for Chris Wood. Then 2 GT Omega teammates. You'll be very happy to see the flag here. Sven Glatzel, Nicole Foggy, 11th and 12th. Martin Front in 13th, and then a whole load of Pro-Am drivers. Been a great meeting for those guys. Adam Hadfield, 14th. Paul Smith, 15th. Mark Johnston in 16th, and then 2 Team Mad teammates. Then Maciej Sakovic in 17th, and Tristan Bodis in 18th. 19th for Pete Harrod. 20th for Michael Blake in this Immortal car. 21st place for Alex Simpson. 22nd for Brian Holmes, who led his teammate by there on the run to the line. 23rd for Stephen Baxter, then Colin Cunniff. Lee Deemer in 25th. Nathan Davis, 26th place. And the cars that didn't finish, most of them, as you can see from the laps down, were involved in that insane wreck at the start of the race. George Simmons, Jack Sedgwick, Rusty Laidler, Ash Sutton, Craig Williams, Jake Blackhall, Pete Newman, Max Wright, Scott Malcolm, and Dave Baker. And then more. Mark Woodhouse, Jack McIntyre, and Adam McNally bringing up the rear of the 39 cars that embarked on that third and final race of the day. Right then, as the points are being updated, you can see they're being updated now, we can get drivers in for some interviews. We've got Christian Rose, we've got Dave Baker, we've got Michael Blake, we've got Stuart McFadden, all waiting to talk to us. I think we'll talk to the man of the moment. We do have Michael Blake of Simmortal, of course, so we'll speak to Simmortal in a moment. We'll speak to the race 3 winner, Christian Rose, who joins us now in the commentary box. Well, Christian, it was a fantastic scrap between you and Dan Brown for most of the race, and then on the last lap, when he picked up a slowdown penalty, you had that advantage in hand to come through and take a second win of the season. Well done.
Thank you. Yeah, that was the Titanic battle. It was so much fun. You know, really holding on for dear life around Curva Grande on the outside. I knew that's where my advantage was, and it was a slowdown in the last lap, but yeah, I think if it wasn't for that, he probably would have beat me to the line. He drove an incredible race. Probably deserves a lot more than a 6th place finish, or whatever it was. But yeah, no, really pleased to get that second win of the season. I feel like I've had the pace to win a few more, but it's just not happened. So yeah, to get one here is fantastic.
It was probably a great level of this circuit because we saw Simmortal take a 1-2-3, and the likes of you and Dan Brown were able to fight at the front with some of the quickest drivers in the championship.
Yeah, well, there's not too many corners and lots of straight bits. It's not too difficult to drive in a straight line. You know, so, like drivers like Wodge and Ash and Nicole are just they're just exceptional. You know, the lap times they put out the car, and you think, how on earth am I gonna match that? You know, so when we get to a circuit like this where you really strip the wing off the car and just go for it, you know, it's fantastic to fight with them.
And Daytona next week, is that another circuit that you think would help be in your favour at all?
I like Daytona as a track. I'm not too sure. I've never driven that car there, so I'm not really sure how it's going to react. I mean, we'll see how it goes. Obviously, there's a lot on the line for a lot of people. I think it's going to be very tentative racing next week, that's for sure. Definitely. I think the World GT Championship is coming up sooner rather than later. You're planning to race in that again? Yep. We'll have a strong force of CQR cars for season 5. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to that already. And with Wojciech and Nicole all finally poised at the top, just as a neutral potentially, who do you think is going to be taking the title out of those two? Is Ash not in the running anymore? Well, looks at the points, he's down in 9th, I think. No, as you know, as we always say, it's not over till it's over. A lot of things could happen, but I'm going to do a Dave Baker here and sit on the fence. I can't really call it between them. They're two fantastic drivers.
Yeah, I may be inclined to agree on that one. Before we let you go, do you want to send a quick shout out to anybody?
Yeah, just shout to everyone at CQR. Put in incredible amounts of effort all season. So yeah, props to them.
Great, well done on the win, second of the season, and who knows, maybe even a third to come at Daytona. But thanks for taking the time out and coming to speak to us.
Thanks so much. Cheers.
Ian Rose there, and we'll move on to the start of the show in race 2. It's the
took ages to clear, didn't it?
It was. Sorry, I grabbed in mid-conversation. It's the winner of race. It's the team that did so well in race 2. It's Simmortal's Michael Blake. What a result that was in race 2 for you.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I want to thank Adam and Mark for doing a good job on that. It was a really good team performance.
Yeah, it looked very well coordinated. We had Alex Simpson in talking us through it. You had Kip Stevens come in towards the end, and one of you was hanging back trying to make sure that he didn't get through, and in the end it managed to work out really nicely.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a kerfuffle on the last lap, which was a bit scary. I had visions of Kip's car coming back across the track and taking all 3 of us out, but no, luckily we got through.
And then at the very end there was a bit of drama when Stevens collided. Do you think the stewards may have anything to say on that?
Adam's already put his hands up and said that it was his mistake, but luckily Kip didn't get a meatball from it, so shouldn't be too bad.
Cool. We were just talking to Christian Rose about it, but Monza today has been a great help for many of the Pro-Am drivers, including the Simmortal team as well, and has helped to get quite a lot of points on the board and help you out in the Pro-Am title as well. Yourself, is it? You're only 21 points behind Chris Wood going into the final race meeting.
It's going to be close. I don't think I've quite got the pace to actually compete with Chris. I think he'd need a little bit of a bad week, but keep trying, see what we can.
Great. Well, not too many teams have taken a 1-2-3 in the BSRTC before, but before we let you go, do you want to send a quick shout out to anybody?
You guys for the broadcast, all the admins in the league, Drive Doctors and Go-Kart World, our sponsors, and Mark and Adam for helping out with the team performance in race 2.
Great, well, yeah, well done on the win. Well done on the 1-2-3 for the team as well, and hopefully everything goes well for you at Daytona next week.
Thanks, guys. I'll see you later.
Got Blake there. We'll move on to CQR now. Interesting evening for those two. We've got for that team, we've got 3 of their drivers in the interview room, and Dave Baker, Christian Rose, and Jim McFadden. So I'll see if we can get those guys up. They probably might be in mid-conversation. I don't know, but we'll try. We've got 3 of the CQR team now joining us in the commentary box. We'll start off with Dave Baker, I think. Hello. It's been an interesting evening for your team as well. As Apex, a few drivers picking up a few 0 points, and looking at how things stand going into Daytona, it looks like that you and Sutton may be out of the running, Dave. I think I'm just trying to make sense of the points.
Yeah, I've just had a look at the points as well, Adam, and looking at it now, Ash, myself, and Mike Hall, so the 3 of us are all out of the showdown, sadly, because of the incidents tonight. Which, you know, hey, it happens. You know, that's racing. It's a shame that a year's long sort of effort has come down to that. We're still going to battle with the teams, of course, and I think that's still relatively quite close, but particularly for Ash to kind of come out of it that way was a bit gutting, but hey ho, we'll fight on. There's another round to go, and we'll try and make the best of Daytona and end the season on a high.
The way Monza was always going to be, you know, for chicane, was it always a race meeting that you had on the radar as one that could potentially go south in a way like this?
Yeah, I think everybody has this meeting as that, you know, the car in a draft goes quite quickly and gets loose at the rear very easily, And if people are side by side, 2-3 wide down those main straights, and even if your says spotter's clear, it's your duty to still check. And I don't think that sometimes happened tonight, and it's caused big incidents. And yeah, this track always brings it. I mean, I think this is probably bigger than the Interlagos crash we had a couple of years ago, and that's saying something. But hey, we got caught up in, could easily have been some of the other teams. Or Apex, I think, had some bad running in like races 1 and 2, as did the NLR boys, as of all the other teams. So it's a tricky track to run in this configuration. I have my thoughts whether it should have been in the Showdown to begin with, because it can shake things up so dramatically. It makes it entertaining, but I'd like to see a Showdown decided on the track with racing by the drivers, side by side, coming out of corners and a race to the line, not because of incidents or protests or penalties. And we might be heading that way, unfortunately. But overall, I think there has been some cracking racing tonight. There's been some great wins. Michael picking up his first win in race 2, alone with a 1-2-3 for the Simmortal team. So we should focus on that more than anything else. And yeah, sadly, incidents happen, but we'll move on. We'll get better. We'll learn.
A word too on your teammates that are still in with a shout of the title going into the final race at Daytona. Pete Harrod and Jamie Rushworth. Rushworth, the former champion, now going at it potentially for a second title, and Pete Harrod as well, who's really shot up the driver's standing since he came over to the championship from the club series.
Yeah, I mean, I know you like your stats. There was one that caught my eye at the end of the regular season. Pete Harrod had the highest average score from drivers that had done like practically all of the races. The only reason he didn't was because he had just missed 1 or 2, and that's why people like Nicole and stuff were ahead in the championship. He's had an incredible season, really great consistency, and I hope he's able to finish out on a high. So we'll be rooting for him and Jamie as well, trying to do everything we can to help them, and obviously to help us clinch the teams. It's going to be a tough ask, but we'll give it a go.
Great, well, it's been a pleasure, Dave, as always. And before we let you go, do you want to send a quick shout out to anybody?
Well, shout out to all of the team and the guys that sponsor us, sort of Race Hub and all that sort of stuff. Without their help and sort of you guys help broadcasting it, we can't put on the great races when we do have them. So yeah, let's just hope we end the season on a high.
I'd say Daytona's quite good in this car, so hopefully it goes well for you and the team next week. And who knows what could happen in terms of the title, because it is quite close. Still at the top, but yeah, shame it had to end like that. Day with a race meeting to go, but
never mind. I can't get 6th in the championship. That's what I'm most gutted about.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm sure that hopefully something may go.
Number 6 eludes me again.
Yeah, maybe you could stay in. Maybe you could get 9th and then say it's an upside down 6.
I don't want my Kia upside down any more than it's already been. Thank you very much. Don't give them ideas.
Well, cheers, Dave. Thanks for speaking to us.
See you.
One person that managed to benefit greatly from that wreck at the start and gain 16 places to finish in the top 5 was Stuart McFadden, and he joins us now. Well done on the top 5, Stuart. Yeah, tell us about what you saw at the start, because you had to slow down and pick your way through it.
Yeah, it was quite a eventful start, because I just had a normal start, tried to see where I was, see if there was any risks of people not seeing where I was, and then just hear 3 or 4 people shout "big wreck" on the start line. So you do the sensible thing, which some people don't understand, and hit the brakes. And yeah, just tried to kind of avoid it and see where I was. And unfortunately, I don't think Pete goes through as easily as I did. But I just saw a gap, and it just all opened up for me. And I was through, and I think I was like 10th in the end of the first lap, behind Wodge and Sven. And I was like, we can go places from here. And just wasn't silly throughout the race. Just kind of tried to gain from the advantage from Wodge, obviously from the draft. So whenever I was enough, I was behind him, and I could get the run on him, but still not hinder me going into the first corner, then I done it. And then likewise with him, and we just kept making progress. I think it was that second lap on a kind of group ahead, and that kind of gave me a few laps to try and make my way up to kind of 5th place. And then I think there was what's his name? I think Christian had a little. I don't know if they hadn't made any contact, but the guy that was battling with Christian. He got slowed down, which kind of backed that all up, and then I managed to catch him up, and then had a good battle. No, it was Dan Brown. I had a good battle with Dan Brown going into the last corner. So yeah, it was a really good meeting. really good points as well. I think I got a 20th and 11th and a 5th, so I can't really complain at that night.
Yeah, we just had a look at your wreck at the wreck there to avoid at the start of the race, and I don't think the car could have been positioned any better, really. Good result for your teammate as well.
Yeah,
Christian.
Christian's well due a win. He hasn't had it in a while, so yeah, well done to him. Good, absolutely fantastic race.
Daytona next week. What are your expectations for that one? Because obviously some more long straights and a lot of slipstreaming as well around the banking could help favour the team and get some more results.
Yeah, I mean, because we're all kind of the same pace in the team, we find it really easy to slipstream, so we don't have to kind of shuffle people around and stuff. So that really kind of benefits us. But yeah, we'll just obviously all the other teams will be really strong. They're putting in all the hours of practice and stuff. So yeah, we just need to kind of be prepared as best we can, and then that's all we can do.
Great. Well, before we let you go, do you want to send a quick shout out to anybody?
Just the team, absolutely fantastic again. I'm constantly learning, so it's great for me as kind of driver to be learning off the kind of 9 different drivers that all do something differently. I mean, well done to Christian as well. A fantastic race tonight, and you guys for the broadcast as well. Thank you.
No worries. Yeah, six top 10s, 6 podiums now, I should say, for the season. 20 top 10s. So yeah, it's all going well. Christian, I don't know why I dragged you back in here as well, but yeah, well done you guys on a good result for CQR Academy today.
Cheers. Good points for the team.
Right then, loads of people seem to be gathering for interviews here, and time is running out. We will. I think we might get a word in with Jamie Rushworth, who is one of the CQR cars that's still fighting for the title. One of the few CQR cars that's left in terms of the title. I think we might have to get a bit ruthless here with the interviews because, of course, we are running out of time. I think we'll go with Jamie Rushworth, Paul Smith, and well, I think we'll go with Rusty as well. Just to create a bit of drama towards the end of the evening. 3 drivers joining us now. Jamie Rushworth, Paul Smith and Rusty Laidler. Jamie, I'll come to you first. It's not been the best evening for the team, but looking at the points now, you are still in with a shout at the title going into Daytona, so you must be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too far off on the drivers. We're looking more at the teams, and it's swung 100 points either way, so I think going in we're about 100 behind. So race 2 we were about 8 ahead, and then we're about 100 behind again as a team. So we're just hoping we can swing it 100 the other way in one of the rounds next week.
Obviously, the big crash happened at the start, took out Ash and Dave, and their title fight's over. But I don't think you could ask for 2 better drivers to help you when it comes to the high speeds on the high banks of Daytona next week.
Yes, yeah. I think as long as we all keep it on the track, we're quick enough that we can at least bring a fight to an end.
And being one of the most experienced drivers in the BSRTC, covers many seasons. How much has the series changed since you first embarked on the championship back in season 3 or 4?
It's definitely a lot cleaner than it used to be. As much as we still talk about crashes, I know Rusty's laughing, but I think probably partly down to changes iRacing have made. You don't get as many quarter panels that take out the entire field anymore, except for I'd say that after that happened today. But
I'd say the cars look a bit more planted than they used to. Definitely, we don't see too many cars taking off. I think obviously Rusty Lader wants to come in, I think, with something on that. Obviously it's Monza, Rusty, and the elbows came out and we had our expected big wreck at the start. But good evening for CQR Academy. I did see the yellow flashes on the CQR Academy car, mixing it in during the race. How was evening from your perspective?
What kind of rating are we on? Are we on PG? 12, 15, 18? You know, I need to know because I don't want to get your channel demonetized for this one video.
Oh, well,
say PG.
PG, you're no fun, Paul. I'm going for 12.
Family show, potentially.
Family, yeah, but it's past the watershed. Yeah, You know something? I was having a stonking night. I was just because I knew I was down on points. I've got to be the one who goes forward, who makes the moves, who throws the shapes, and that's what I was doing. I was doing everything bang on. I felt absolutely rotten because last week I made a mistake and I bonked Dan Brown out, and that got me 3 license points and a penalty. It 110% was my fault, but it just made my life that bit more difficult. So Monza, it was maximum attack, and that's what I did. I got a really good finish in race 1. I got an amazing finish in race 2 and some cracking racing. And then we got to race 3, and I'm sick of saying this. I am sick of saying this because it is the same handful of idiots that ruin everyone's championship. He shouldn't be on the grid. End of story. I really hope he isn't allowed to take part in the last round, because think of the kickoff if he does it again, takes out the likes of Wodge, Foggy. Yeah, but can you see what I mean? Imagine if he takes out another team in mass standards. It's that stupid mentality of, I'm moving over, and if I die, I'm taking you with me. He's done that all season long. He's been here long enough. He's been in BSR long enough. He knows what's wrong. He knows what the rules are. He knows what's right. And I'm sorry, Max. Just no. You need to sort yourself out, because tonight what you did, and the fact that you think it's Pete's fault as well. I'm sorry. You need to take a long, hard look at yourself, and you need to sort yourself out pronto, because this is just disgusting.
Moving on, we've just had a look. We've just had a look at the crash on the replay from your perspective. Obviously, not much you could have done. I saw Paul was right in there too. With you.
I just got unlucky in that, if that makes any sense. I managed to get it hauled up. I got a punt from a car behind. It's a high-speed circuit, isn't it? No one expects to have to slam on the brakes at pit exit,
And you had to come into the pits at the end of the first lap as well.
You know what made it worse? The car was perfectly drivable.
Was it just the meatball that?
Yeah, I got a meatball. 16-minute repairs. The car was perfectly drivable. That was the stickler. But yeah, I mean, I'm mathematically out for the AM title now, and considering that I went in and I'd led, you know what I mean? I went in actually leading. I finished in the top spot for the end of the season, and I've just been taken out by the same team week after week. What can you do?
Yeah.
I really hope, you know something? There's 2 drivers I want to see come out on top of this, and I want to see, well, there's 3, because I'm not going to leave Sandwich out, but I want to see a proper, good, hard battle between Chris Wood and Michael Blake. Chris, he's got the pace, he's got the consistency, he's really smart with how he races. But Blake, he's a dark horse in my eyes. He has turned his driving around massively over the season, and I've seen him, he's just progressing and progressing and progressing, and I think that win he had tonight will be a massive confidence booster going into Daytona.
Yeah,
any of those two to win the championship, I will be over the moon for, because I don't think you could ask for a better victor, I suppose is the way to put it, because they are the forefront of the BSR and the BSRTC and how to drive and how to race. Look at Chris Wood. He's had 6 license points over the entire season. That is 96 races, and he had 1 incident where he got unlucky, made a bad judgment, and took 1 car out. Yeah, over the entire season. I think he's got the lowest license points in there. Michael Blake's only got 17. He's picked up a couple of 3s, and I think he had 1 big one. Which is easy enough to do. I think the average license points is something like 35 or 36.
Yeah.
We've got some drivers out there with nearly 80, but we won't get onto them. But yeah, Chris Wood, Michael Blake, or Sandwich, they're my 3 favourite to win. But to be fair, of the 6 that are there, because Brown's still in with a shout of this, he's only 71 points back. Only takes 1 DNF from them above, and Brown's back in it. It's going to go down to the last race. It is going to be too close to call.
Well, you got 27 license points. At least that's what I can see on the.
I had a big one. Was it Canada?
You got 15 at one of them.
Yeah, I think that was Canada. I remember that one. But I put my hands up to that.
Well, you mentioned Maciej Sakovic. His teammate joins us in the interview room, waiting patiently.
How do I follow that?
You need to call someone else out, I think, Paul.
Oh, yeah,
Everyone
Paul,
knows I'm too nice for that. Come on. Come
No,
on.
you're not.
Yeah, me and Paul in the nice camp here. Well, you'll probably do whatever you wanted, and I'll be fine. But Paul, your evening. Obviously, unlike these two, you don't have a title to fight for, but you were still right in the mix, especially in one of the earlier races. You were right up there at one.
Well, thanks for counting out my team for a championship. Yeah, we are in a championship battle. Yeah,
I was just going to take you out. I'll not counting the rest of the team out.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, race 2, fantastic race. Hats off to Simmortal. They did an absolute sterling job in that race. They played it the ultimate team game there. So I've got to take my hat off to them because they did a really good job. And even in that final race, with so many people getting wrecked, I got a really good result in that final one. So not too bad, considering I wasn't really on the pace this evening. So I'll take that. And, you know, second best team overall for Team Mad, just behind Simmortal. That's not bad for a Pro-Am team, is it really?
Pretty good. We were talking to Dave about just before we got to you three about the potential hazards of racing here, and he said he'd prefer to have a different track on the Showdown to decide the title compared to Monza no first chicane. I'm sure you're in the same camp with that opinion.
I would like a little bit of variety for the Showdown rather than just having slipstreaming tracks all the way through. Because then you get a true reflection of who are the best drivers in terms of their all-round ability, not just at who's best at slipstreaming. But that's just my opinion. But yeah, it's what it is. You got to race for the track that's in front of you. We'll go to Daytona,
Yeah.
not my favourite track, and
No, you love the ovals. Yeah.
yeah. I'm not a fan.
Bring
of
back the real ovals, that's what I say.
No, it's touring car racing. But as far as Team Mad though, we're 1 and 2 in the AM drivers. We're first in the AM Pro-Am standings of the teams. Okay, it's disappointing to see Matt Woodhouse drop out of the running for the AM title, but Chris Maciej is still really tight. That amateur championship is really, really tight. Anyone in that top 6 could get it. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be brilliant. You won't want to miss it on Apex Racing TV.
There you go. There you go. And we don't even pay him to do those plugs. Guys, it's been a pleasure as always. I know that for some the evening hasn't gone totally according to plan, but Jamie, best of luck next week. Rusty, I'm sure you'll be in there, and Paul.
I've still got a team game to play.
Yeah, and same with Paul as well. You've got two very good teammates that are in with a shout at the Pro-Am title too. So all the best, you guys, for Daytona.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to have the spirit of Dennis Melcher cheering me on towards the victory for the team.
9.
Powerful one. Yeah, best of luck, guys. Right, we will end the evening with Alex Simpson in the interview room. Alex, I don't know if you've been listening, but yeah, some strong opinions in there. But for the final race, final thought from you, and you were able to trundle round and still get a result, and still managed to pick up some damage as well.
Yeah, unfortunately, a little bit of a racing incident between me and Baxter at the end there, but it was all right. What can you say? At the start of the race, I was kind of like, I'm just there to score some points for the team, knowing all full well that this would be my drop round. And yeah, of course, there was that almighty one on the start. I literally stopped, put the car into into neutral, boiled the kettle, and made myself a cup of tea while I waited for the grid to clear. Because yeah, I just couldn't go anywhere, and then yeah, just got going. And like I say, I ended up in, I don't know what, 20th, 21st, something like that. I don't know. But yeah, so you just gotta laugh at that, haven't you? Really? So
got the Fernando Alonso deck chair out, and
oh yeah, exactly. If only we could.
Yeah, we're just looking on board now. Sam's got the replay. There's cars upside down. There's much going on. However, looking at what it's done, due to your drop score, it means now that you are second in the championship, joint second in the championship, going into the final round. It's you and Wojciech at the top, Nicole in third.
Yeah, I knew obviously with the drop that I had, it was a pretty decent one, to be honest. So that was always going to be in a bit of an advantage. It would have been nice to have carried that through to the final round, so I could have really pushed. But yeah, nonetheless, it's kind of salvaged something from me tonight, because it would have been a dreadful meeting without that. So yeah, 43 points, everything to play for. I mean, there's McFarlane and Hadfield, you know, all very much in striking distance, I would say. Any kind of mishap from anyone, you know, and the guys that are just on the edge still mathematically as well. If there's some big wreck that takes all 4 of us out, you know, then it could go any way, really. So, and Daytona's an interesting one as well, you know, another draft circuit, but a little bit more technical in the middle. So, yeah, hopefully we don't have a big one like we had tonight. And the one good thing about Daytona is there's a little bit more runoff area. So, you know, if there are some sort of contacts, it should be okay, as long as it's not some massive thing on the bank.
Well, yeah. One other thing is that Wojciech and yourself are going to be fighting for Apex Racing. There, you two have managed to get it to the final race of the season. What's the dynamic in the team going to be like now for the last week at Daytona?
Well, I think you know, we've worked together really well so far this season, and in the showdown, we've not really been in a position where we've kind of gone, "Are we racing?" Yeah. But I think, as far as the team goes now, I think, you know, we just need to make sure we finish reasonably well in the final round, so that we lock in 3rd place. That's about as best we're going to get on that. But yeah, as far as the Drivers' Championship, it's on, you know. So
yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
exactly. You know, if there's a chance for an overtake, you know, I'm going to take it, and I'm sure vice versa as well. So he'll want to make sure that those points don't get mitigated or anything else like that. So yeah, we'll see what we can do. We'll double the effort for the final round and go for it, because yeah, we need to find a little bit of pace, because we were lacking.
It's a brilliant way to end the evening, I think. The battle lines are drawn for Daytona next week. We'll run you through the top 10 quickly in the Drivers' Championship. Then Wojciech Savilovic is 43 points ahead of Alex Simpson. Then 3 races to go. Nicole Foggy is joint second with Alex as well. In fact, have you got the same number of wins? Just looking, actually. Alex picks up 6 wins this season. Nicole has picked up 5. So that's why Alex is ahead on the tie-break. Ross McFarlane in 4th, further few points behind. Then Pete Howard in 5th. And then Jamie Rushworth, Sven Glatzel and Steve Baxter. Those are the 8 drivers that will contest the British Sim Racers Touring Car Championship at Daytona. Over in the YAM category, we were talking to some of the YAM drivers earlier. It's Chris Wood v Maciek Sakovic versus Michael Blake, Hadfield, Mark Johnston and Dan Brown. All 6 of them separated by just 71 points. If it's close in the Drivers' Championship, it's even closer there in the Pro-Am title fight. So plenty to watch out for there. And in the teams, because of what's happened at Monza, Northern Lights Racing GT Omega have got a 123-point advantage over CQR going into the final race. And it looks like Team Mad have pretty much sealed the Pro-Am title as well. So plenty for us to look out for at Daytona next week. My thanks to Alex for joining me for a quick interview there, and a little bit during race 2 as well. My thanks to Sam for trying to pick some sort of sense out of all 3 races, making sure that we covered all of what's going on in the field, the title fight as well, and for sticking with all the and allowing us to do all those interviews after the race. And my thanks to all of you for watching as well. Make sure to give us a like and a subscribe as well, and make sure to turn on those notifications so that you know when we are live next week at Daytona. Don't want to miss it. It will be under the lights in race 3, as it has been for the last 3 years or so. And this time next week, we'll be talking to a potentially new champion. Will Wojciech make it 2 on the spin, pick up a 3rd title? Apart from Jamie Rushworth, everybody else is chasing a 1st BSRTC title. There's 8 of them trying to fight it out, so make sure you join us 8:15 GMT next week at Daytona International Speedway. I'll be here, along with Andrew Woodhouse, hopefully, to work out what is going to happen in the final race meeting of the season. From all of us here at Apex Racing TV, at the Autodromo Nazzionale di Monza, bye for now.